Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a breaking news edition of Birds 365, something I do not get to say very often. And only in the city of Philadelphia are you winners, even during the bye week. Welcome in, everybody. John McMullen will be joining me shortly here, closer to our 8 a.m. normal start time. But I felt the need to jump on a little early here and discuss the trade that the Eagles have just made before the show. I got John in the green room, so he'll join me right now, and we'll be able to break it down together. Johnny Mack coming in now. The Eagles make a trade this morning, everybody. They trade a third-round pick, a 2026 third-round pick to Miami for Jaylen Phillips. John, I just started the show 1 minute ago. I didn't know when you would be in, but not often, John, do we get breaking news before the show on Birds 365. Very rare, John.
Yeah, it is rare. This morning, evidently, it was done Sunday night, so announced early this morning. Can confirm it is a done deal. I believe Adam had it first. This has been the scuttlebutt around the league. Wrote about it, I think, Saturday morning on Sports Illustrated. This is the player the Eagles had targeted for help on the edge. The only question was, what would the compensation be? Miami wanted at least a third-round pick. They were able to get it, but the key here is it's the Eagles' original third-round pick. So they have 2 third-round picks, but it's the Eagles' pick, so it's going to be very late in the round. So that's a positive for the Eagles.
And the Jets is the other pick they have, right, John? The Jets pick?
Yes. So it's very,
it's
it's
a big difference there, yeah.
Big difference. And the Dolphins also have agreed to pick up some of the remaining salary for Jaylen Phillips in 2025. So, essentially they're, buying an extra pick from Miami standpoint as a rebuilding team. And the Eagles get a potential, at least, difference-making player on the edge. And Vic Fangio, we always talk about, does Howie listen to Vic Fangio? Well, this is the player Vic Fangio wanted, so he's listening here. And, there's some injury issues, but this is a very talented, a very gifted player. And if things can click on this one, boy, it was a hell of a bye week for the Eagles, by the way. Everybody lost.
The show. I mean, only in Philly right now are you winners in your bye week. I mean, everybody lost if they wanted them to lose. They make 2 trades, and they sit at the top of the NFC right now after week 9.
Yeah, it couldn't have went any better. We'll see. The only thing is Dallas. If Dallas loses tonight, it'll literally be perfect. And you hate when somebody gets injured, but Jaden Daniels looks like significant injury, potential season-ending injury. So, boy, everything's coming up Eagles this morning. And this is a player, like I said, a lot of people got mad at me, not that high on the Jair Alexander trade, think that's more of a big name trap. This is a player that, when he walks into the building, he's your best edge rusher and can really be a meaningful piece of the puzzle if he stays healthy. It's also a rental, so to speak. He will become an unrestricted free agent, but if he plays well, signs a contract, worst case scenario, he'd be eligible for a comp pick formula. That depends on a lot of things. As I always say, you don't just get comp picks. It's a very complicated formula where you have to lose more than you sign, but he's Eagles property now, so he can contribute to that sort of weighing from Howie Roseman. But, good player and really, really should help the Eagles.
Yeah, we'll get into some more about the player. We'll get into some of that injury concern. I just want to remind everybody, welcome in today. Don't forget to hit that like button. Very rarely, it might be our first time, honestly, ever, where you have breaking news before Birds 365 hits the air. Normally, news does not come down at 7:30 in the morning. So shout out to Howie for getting it done early for us, for our business purposes. So thank you, Howie Roseman. The Eagles sent a third-round pick, everybody, for Jaylen Phillips today. And as John pointed out, they sent their own third-round pick. They have 2 third-round picks the Jets and their own. So they send their own third-round pick, which will be later in the third round, obviously, as compared to the Jets, which might be at the very top of the third round, currently one of the worst teams in the NFL. So that's the rundown on the player. John, I know you said you like the player. He is a player that has played very well. I mean, I don't want to go entirely off stats, but graded pretty highly. If you look at kind of his career, he's had a pretty good career. He's in the fifth-year option right now. He's never had a double-digit sack year, but he is a guy that is a disruptive edge rusher. How do you like the fit with Vic Fangio?
Yeah, I mean, Vic, that's the reason he's here. Vic was down there, liked the player a lot. I think a lot of people don't understand how good that Miami defense was that season. And then they suffered injuries to Phillips and Van Ginkel late and kind of fell apart. They had to pick up edge rushers off the street to play in the playoffs. So it was a very good defense, very good team. And Vic was doing some good things with Jaylen Phillips and liked the player. So, now the problem is, of course, that, coming into this season, and he's been healthy this season, but he played 8 games in 2023, played 4 games in 2024. So he does have, early in his career, he looked like he was going to be a superstar as a rookie and a second-year player as an edge rusher. Just looked like he was going to be a really big difference maker. And then the injuries kind of piled on. So obviously Miami's not having a great season, but he's played and he's got 3 sacks. And I think just going from one of the worst teams in football to one of the best is going to give him some juice, and hopefully stays healthy. And look, this guy's just better than what you have. He's not Myles Garrett, but he's better than what you have.
Right?
Oh yeah. What the minute he walks. Yeah. The minute he walks into the door, he's the best edge rusher you have.
So the 2 injuries, John, that he's had the last 2 years were November of 2023. So 2 seasons ago in November, he had an Achilles tear. It was a non-contact injury. It happened at MetLife Stadium. He missed the rest of the season there. And then last year, as you pointed out, he had an ACL tear at the end of September. That was, I believe, when he ran into his own teammate, Jordan Poyer, and he had tore his ACL. So he missed the remainder of the year last year. So he is coming off of 2 years, coming off of injuries. But, assuming he can stay healthy, I think this is going to be a really big pickup. It's going to be interesting, though, John, because technically right now he's a rental for this team, right? I mean, maybe they bring him, maybe they extend him long term, but he's a guy that's going to be looking for some big money. And, you wonder how that would fit into the plans here, for the future.
Well, as I said, then he would be eligible for a compensatory pick. Now, I think people don't understand that system. So it's not like if you lose a player, you get a pick. But if you lose a player who signs a big contract and you sign less than you lose, that'll be a 3rd round pick, end of the 3rd round if he gets a big deal. So you'd essentially be getting the pick back. One thing about Howie, he is a smart dude, man. So he's got every avenue thought out. And obviously, if he plays,
this team deserves a lot of credit too, right? I mean, the team does.
Oh yeah, he's got a deep staff. That's why he's got a deep personnel staff. So. He's got a lot of advantages, but he knows what he's doing as well. Part of that is just experience and being allowed to make mistakes over the years and not get fired and blown out and learn from those mistakes. So we talked about that advantage many times, which a lot of guys don't have. And Miami's the perfect example. They blow out the GM because he didn't want to move these guys and bring in an interim GM and say, hey, you got to move these guys. Basically is what's going on down there.
Yeah, John, he's already played 402 snaps this year. That's more than both of his prior 2 seasons, where he had 134 last year and 366 in 23. Obviously, those seasons were cut short due to injury. 22, John, I believe, was his best season. He had 77 pressures in 22. He had
It's a
10
lot of
sacks.
pressures, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of
According to
pressure.
PFF, he had 10 sacks, depending on where you look. I think somewhere else had like 8 or 9 sacks, but 48 hurries and 19 quarterback hits. So 22 is a very productive player. And so far this year, already 32 pressures, 3 sacks, 4 hits, and 25 hurries. So he's having a productive year so far this year, John.
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean, there's no question about that. This is not about, a guy he's still young. He's only, as you mentioned, as a first round pick, he's on the 5th year of his contract. So he's got that option year. He's still 26, 27 years old. So still plenty left in the tank. And you could argue maybe even more from the standpoint of, the silver lining of those injuries is you don't have all those snaps piling up on your body. So you can look at a positive standpoint. And he's played okay with a bad team. So that tells you something too. He's not the type of guy that's going to tank if things are not going well.
Right.
So, good. This is Howie's made a lot of trades that we've talked about, and everybody gets excited about him. This is an actual potential difference-making trade. This is a guy who's can be a headline player on your defense if it all falls into place. And Vic knows how to use him. He knows Vic's system, so you don't have the usual ramp-up period. This is one of those where, everybody who thinks they're a contender should have been trying to prevent the Eagles from making this happen. But, not
23,
everybody.
John. Is that when he was with Vic, or was it 22 and 23? What it was just 23, right?
Yeah. Vic was only there for 1 year.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Because, I remember it now.
Yeah. And, it was a very good defense until the injuries piled up. And
in only 6 games, I think, with Vic that year, John. 366 snaps. He had 27 pressures and 7 sacks.
Yeah. And they were, like I said, Van Ginkel was the other piece of the puzzle. He got hurt later in the season, and that really crippled him. But and if you're watching him yesterday, I mean, that a completely different defense when he's on the field. So they had a good defense. People don't realize that in Miami.
Yeah.
And he was a big part of it early on until he got injured.
What's the deal with the contract, John? It said you mentioned early in the show that the Dolphins are going to pick up some of his contract for this year. It was like a $13 or $14 million contract because it was his 5th year option that they picked up. How's that work, or what do you know right now? I'm sure that you're still in the information.
Yeah, still in the Dolphins are picking up a big chunk of change to get a pick is essentially what's going on. So it's not going to impact the Eagles at all from a cap standpoint.
Yeah.
At all.
So,
at all.
And do you think if this player, lives up to the expectation right now, however you would define that, this guy will be here long term? Like, do you think they would pay him? Because it doesn't change that you still have a bunch of young guys on defense you got to pay. You basically just added somebody who's got to get paid faster than the young guys.
Yeah, that's something for down the road. If he turns into a star and they win the Super Bowl, they're going to bring him back. He doesn't, then it becomes, a more layered decision process. How well does he play? How well does Nolan Smith play? Does Nolan Smith play well? What player do you like better? It's a more layered discussion. I think everybody gets caught up into that and the immediacy. The good part of that is the Eagles' property for 9 games in the playoffs. And you get to make that decision. You don't have to make it today. And he's on the 5th year option. And again, if you don't want to pay him, he's eligible for the compensatory pick formula.
Right.
They get that pick if they want to go down that route and play that game. So
which could be a good comp pick. If he has a good rest of the year with us, he'll get paid.
Yeah, if he signs a big contract, it'll be a 3rd round pick. If he signs a big time edge rushing contract and the Eagles don't want to pay it, it'll be a 3rd round pick and you get the 3rd round pick back. So again, that's the smartness of Howie Roseman. But I don't even know at this stage, again, people got way too caught up in that stuff. Howie's got to make the decision what he wants his off season to be does he even want to play the comp pick game? Because last year he went more maintenance. He might be in more of a buying mode this season. Right. So a lot of things factor into that. And you'll probably hear a lot of talk about that elsewhere. Doesn't effing matter today. This is about this season.
Right. Third round pick to get better this year. Yep.
This is about seizing the moment, and then you'll make those decisions down the line based on how he plays.
Yeah. So, but it is interesting to highlight because you look at the compensation you sent and you're like third round pick for half a year. But if you are going to play the comp pick game, John, you could get as high as a third round pick in the comp, can't you? I mean, I don't know if you would qualify for that, but you could, so you basically could get a return from the comp pick game to really make this, a cheap deal for the Eagles. And with the Dolphins picking up, some of the salary as well, that's a big move there. John, this is a winning weekend, as we talked about at the open of the show. Winning weekend for the Eagles, where everybody loses. The Dolphins or the Lions lose, the Packers lose, the Commanders lost last night in a big way. The Dolphins or the Cowboys play tonight. But everybody lost, John, and the Philadelphia Eagles, get better in the week that they don't play. It's a good weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, if you want, again, to me, it's sad. I know, but guys like Tucker Kraft, it looks like he suffered a season-ending knee injury. Jaden Daniels, potential season-ending injury. Like, I hate that stuff for anybody, but it not. From a competitive standpoint, that really impacts the Packers, really impacts the Commanders. So there's not much that went in a negative fashion for the Eagles this weekend. I mean, you couldn't draw up a bye week with everybody losing. And these are games that you kind of looked at and said, Carolina's got no shot. Minnesota's got no shot. Now Washington hasn't been playing well anyway. They got blitzed by Seattle, but
yeah.
And by the way, Sam Darnold can fucking play.
Oh yeah, he can.
For all those idiots. But it couldn't have gone much better for the Philadelphia Eagles. And you got one more step to that if Jonathan Gannon can upset the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep, no doubt. So your Eagles sitting up top at the NFC right now at 6-2. The Bucs are also 6-2. The Seahawks are 6-2. They beat the crap out of the Commanders last night, even before Jaden Daniels got hurt. The Packers lost yesterday, which was a crazy loss there. They lost to the Panthers, and then the Rams, Niners, Lions. So, John, the Eagles are in good shape right now, man, sitting up top, and now adding a player in Jaylen Phillips. Obviously, we'll get to all Super Chats today. I want to welcome everybody for being here. Big crowd in here on a Breaking News Monday edition. We appreciate everybody for doing it. We do have some Super Chats we'll get to, but it's a winning week for the Philadelphia Eagles. John, do you expect Jaylen Phillips to be ready to rock a week from today when they play Monday Night Football versus the Packers?
Yeah, I expect he'll be able to go and, situational role. But as I mentioned, everything he already understands the system. He's been in the system before. So that helps. He's been playing. It's not like he's got to ramp up like somebody who hasn't been playing. So he should be ready to go for at least rotational snaps, I think, and then it'll increase as it goes on. I think by the end of the season, he should be one or two, depending on where Nolan is and when.
So, John, they haven't had their bye week though in Miami. Is that something that the team will factor in? That he hasn't had a bye week yet, and he'll, he basically won't get. Now I know he has a mini one here because he played Thursday night, and then you get a kind of the weekend off, and then you don't play until Monday. But still, I mean, you're playing in every week of football. I wonder if they would factor that in at all, or not really.
No, you only got him for the, as you mentioned, 9 games. You want to use it up. And the playoffs, obviously, the Eagles are going to be in the playoffs. So, no, he's going to play. I'm pretty confident that he's going to play. He's not the first guy to get traded before a bye week and not have a bye and have to play an extra game. It's a rotational position to begin with. They'll be careful, but he'll play. He's here to play, and he'll play immediately.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, Johnny Mac. Fired up everybody this morning off a big win. We're going to talk to Jeff Kerr this morning, so we'll get his takeaways. Let's get to some of the great people of JAKIB Nation here who checking in on the big Jaylen Phillips trade. Here's James Carver, $50 super chat. Thank you, James. Phillips trades a miss and grade at best an A-, but C B+. Chubb by every metric was a better pick. Edge setter, run stopper, replacement coverage, drop-in coverage, team pass rush, pocket integrity, and even sacks. Phillips is a pure pass rush win rate. Reddick 2.0. Oh my, Carver not loving the move, John.
Well, this is the player Vic liked more, so I'm going to defer to Vic. But, Chubb's also older. He's almost 30, I believe.
Phillips is 26, and he just turned 26 in May.
He's a younger, but they're both good players, and they both have had success with Vic Fangio. But, it was very clear that throughout the league, it was very well known. And I wrote about this on Sports Illustrated Saturday. This is the player that the Eagles were looking to get, Jaylen Phillips, and trying to work it out. So, Miami, they could have asked for Bradley Chubb and probably not having to give it up a third-round pick. You probably get it to day 3, probably a conditional 4th or something like that, because of his age. Injury histories as well. He missed 2024, Chubb. Good player, though. I mean, I think he would have helped them. If they got him, I'd be saying the same stuff. But the Eagles wanted Phillips. That's the player they wanted. And I'm not counting the Myles Garretts of the world because that's not realistic. That was never realistic. But this is the player the Eagles targeted, they wanted, and they were able to get him. But everything's about valuation, and everybody evaluates differently. And Chubb's a very good player as well.
Yeah. Chubb, Phillips, they got one. John, do you think they will continue to make moves here, or do you think this is the end now?
I think there might be some moves of players going out.
Well, yeah, I meant to ask that. You got all these players coming in. They got a lot of cornerbacks, John. You bring in another edge. Who do you think is going out, and who needs to go out?
There certainly is. There's not a lot of value with some of the players that would be going out, so you might just have to release guys at the end of the day, or put them on injured reserve, which they've already done with Marcus Epps and Azeez Ojulari. I'm sure if they could have gotten something for Azeez Ojulari, they would have traded him, not put him on IR. But so there's ways, but obviously they're not going to be meaningful. This is the splash trade. You never say never with Howie, but I think this is it from a splash standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably it. Maybe some roster management moves, kind of like that Jair Alexander move. John, I did want to also talk about that here before we get Jeff Kerr up. I'll read a couple more super chats and then we'll get there. Roseman Found says, do you think Howie is done at edge? Kind of just answered that, but I'm thinking he's done.
Well, it's definitely done at edge. Yeah, definitely. I mean, now he's got too many edges to the point he had to put Ojulari on injured reserve. Eagles did not have a problem at all with their rotational players. In fact, Uche's having a good season as a rotational player. Jalix Hunt now fits into that role, which is probably the best role for him in the second year of his career. They had no issues with those supplemental guys. They wanted a headliner, a number one, and they think they got him. We'll see if they're right.
No doubt. Good stuff. Ross, in fact, I saw your tweet as well to me. He's looking for Trey Hendrickson, too. I don't think you're getting both, Ross.
Come on, guys.
Dirty D. What's crazy is Micah Parsons has 6.5 sacks, and he isn't the sack leader for Green Bay. Yeah, well, he's impacting the
sacks defense. Are overrated. Is this the first time you're listening to this show?
No, it's not. Dirty D's been here a while.
Come on. Yeah, how many Rashawn Gary sacks are the result of Micah Parsons running the quarterback into Rashawn Gary? Go watch the film. Micah Parsons has been the best pass rusher in football this year, and he hasn't even played the normal number of snaps because they ramped him up coming in late. Yeah, man, people are obsessed. Unless you get up to the Myles Garrett territory. And there's
start thinking about that, John.
And there's some other guys, and finishing is a trade. I say that all the time. There's certain guys. Trey Hendrickson is one of those guys. Nick Bosa when he's healthy. Those guys. Max Crosby, tremendous finisher. Those are rarefied air guys, but yeah. Don't get caught up in the sack numbers.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening there. I'm with you, John. Good stuff, everybody. John, real quick, the Jair Alexander move is another one that happened this weekend. I only talked to you briefly on a Sunday morning edition of Football 24/7. It almost feels like we're in a Football 24/7 within Birds 365 right now. But just your kind of thoughts on the Jair Alexander move and clarity on that, and what you think of that move they made on Saturday night.
Yeah, and that's more of an move, more of a dart throw, more of a, hey, let's bring him in, see what he has, see if we can get more out of him. Big name trap potential. Former second team All-Pro in 2022. 2020 was his best season when he might have been the best cornerback in football, to be honest. Tremendous cover corner. Life moves fast in the NFL. He's not that player. Couldn't get on the field in Baltimore, which is having a bad defensive year. They've gotten better recently, but he's not on the field. Was a healthy scratch. His last two games there. And if you go back to the third game, he was active, but didn't play at all. So, is he better than Ringo, Jackson, Bennett, potentially?
You said you still think Ringo's the best option.
Yeah, certainly. Well, certainly coming off, he's got to prove it. I mean, he's been inconsistent. He had his best game against the Giants before the bye. Now, people have pointed out that that's not the best competition in the world, and that's fair. But the last time he played the Giants, he was awful, and he got benched, in the first quarter. So there's improvement. You can't look at one game and not point out the second game where he was graded by PFF as the best defensive player on the team. That was by far his best game of the year. Hopefully you gain some confidence from that. But I don't think the Eagles have solved their cornerback issues, even though they signed traded for two cornerbacks. I still think it's Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and hope from that standpoint.
Who is going to walk out there Monday night, though? Next Monday night, is it going to be Ringo?
Yeah, it's going to be Ringo. Yeah.
Oh man, you should.
I don't know.
I was getting the comments yesterday flowing in from our morning segment. John's an asshole talking about Ringo, blah blah blah, all these different things. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm an asshole for talking about a football player. You got to look in the mirror.
Not for saying that you still think Ringo is better than Jair Alexander.
These people, that you're talking about, the guys played 61 snaps. I don't know how much they watched the Baltimore Ravens. My guess is 0. And I don't know how much they watched a Jair Alexander tape. I remember, though, they were making fun of him when A.J. Brown schooled him. I remember that. I do remember that. I know they haven't watched him in Baltimore. You know how I know that, Zander? Because he played 61 freaking snaps.
He only played 2 games. Yeah.
He's given up. He got destroyed in Buffalo. He essentially played 1 game. Gave up 5 completions, 5 targets, 5 completions, way over 100 yards. But yeah, he was an All-Pro in 2020 and 2022. Champ Bailey was an All-Pro like 8 times, and they had 12 Pro Bowls. If time stood still, why don't you trade for Champ Bailey? Morons.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. I want to thank my boy Philly Sports Wraps for becoming a member today. Thank you, brother. I think that's an upgrade. So thank you, bro. I can't see on my side, but I do appreciate it. Here's Charles Menifee. If Phillips is as good as I think, the Eagles are the most complete team in the NFL, even considering the weakness at cornerback too. I would agree with that.
Yeah, well, right now they look, especially coming off yesterday, they look like the best team again. And that's honestly, before they got Phillips. Um, Everybody's got holes. And the Eagles had their game where, nobody, I mean, think about how bad that Thursday night loss was to the New York Giants, especially how the Giants have continued on. That was an abysmal performance. So, this happens in the NFL for all these good teams. They have these poor performances. The Eagles have been able to avoid it more than most. And, they do have the pedigree of understanding how to get through those types of things. It seems like they've gotten over the hump from their little hiccup. Howie, you can tell how he sees, look, maybe that wasn't the thought process in the offseason, but in season, he's like, it's there for the taking. Let's go be urgent about it. And yeah, I mean, the Phillips trade makes them clearly a better team. Clearly a better team. Everything falls into place on that defense. Like I said, their rotational players are good.
Right. It was they needed headliners. They needed players at the top of the depth chart.
Yeah. And now potentially they've gotten it.
Yeah, I was watching some Jaylen Phillips highlights last night, actually, because you had mentioned on our show in the morning that you thought Phillips would be the move. And the way you said it, I'm like, John didn't just say that as, it sounds like he has some intel there. So I went and watched some Jaylen Phillips highlights last night. He is a disruptive player when he's on his game. Obviously, the highlights are the highlights. It's not the low lights, obviously. They're showing his best snaps, but he can be very disruptive, John, when he's playing well.
Yeah, and look, he's been healthy this year. Now, the people down in Miami will tell you he's not the same player as the guy before. Like I said, he looked like, and sorry, I'm texting, but he looked like he was turning into a true star before the injuries took hold. So, I mean, you gotta see how it fits, but the part I'm most excited about is he's been able to play in every game, and he's still playing hard for a bad team, and that's not the easiest thing to do. So I think he'll get some juice from coming into a good team. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And he did, just to run down real quick for everybody just checking in, the injury report is he did have an ACL tear last year in end of September. So he missed the rest of the season, missed 13 games. He only played in 4 games last year. It was like an accidental shot from his teammate, Jordan Poyer. It was a weird injury if you go and look it up. And then in 23, he had a Achilles tear in 2023. That happened on the MetLife turf. That was in November of 2023, and he missed the remainder of the season there. So those are the 2 big injuries he's had in 23 and 24, and now he's played all games this year. So he does have an injury history, but still a very young player. He turned 26 in May, so he'll be 27 next May. So young player, and he's on his 5th-year option right now. Here's James Carver with another $50 super chat. Thank you, James. James says, Alexander has lost a step, but J-Mac is right that he's still better than existing, and they're banking on man cornerback naturally degrading to a zone cornerback, and only elite man cornerbacks can retain skills and can apply to playing zone because they can play off but still apply the skills. Yeah, I kind of saw that with Slay, Carver.
Yeah, that's what, I brought up the Slay, but I also brought up, Jalen Ramsey with Vic, the history. Like, some guys embrace it, some guys don't. Ramsey didn't want to embrace it. Slay did. Slay had a big year in his final year here. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, it's always good. He knows how to play, Alexander. So, I mean, that's the big advantage he has over Ringo and Bennett, who are young players who make a lot of mistakes, but very athletic. And they have a higher ceiling if they ever hit it. But, you know, are they ever going to hit it? It doesn't look like it. Alexander knows how to play, similar to Adoree. That's Adoree's advantage. He knows how to play the position. And he's a higher level than Adoree Jackson even, but has not played well recently when he has been on the field. So look, it's a worthy dart throw is how I described it. I don't think it's a bad trade because if it doesn't work, who cares?
Yeah,
they didn't give up anything.
They swapped the 6th and 7th round pick.
So I think people, because God forbid you criticize the Eagles. I didn't even criticize them. I think it was a fine trade. It's just not meaningful. Like people made it out to be splash. This is splash. Today is splash. That was not splash. As evidence,
it's the name trap, though, John. That's what it is.
Exactly.
You talk about all the time. Yeah,
exactly. And that's evidenced by what they gave up to get him, which was essentially nothing. But yeah, it's a worthy dart throw.
Yeah. Deadline is 4 p.m. tomorrow, everybody. We'll see what Howie ends up doing, if he makes any more moves about there. So, should be interesting next day and a half here on JAKIB Sports. We will be covering it all for you morning, noon, and night. Appreciate all of our super chats today. There's nobody I want to talk to more right now than Jeff Kerr, and he's in the green room. Let's bring him up here on the show on a Monday edition of Birds 365. You can follow him at Jeff Kerr, CBS. Jeff, welcome into the program, my friend. How you doing on a breaking news edition of Birds 365?
I've had better days, Zander. Had better days, had better weeks.
Keep that head up, my friend, Jeff. You got great things coming for you, brother. I feel it.
And we'll see. I mean, just cautiously optimistic is the term I always like to use.
I got you, brother. I got you.
Well, you're always welcome here. And I'm glad to have you, Jeff, because you can fend off some of the idiots with Jair Alexander. But today, before we get to that, splash today. This is an actual splash. This is not a big name splash. This is an actual splash. What do you think Jaylen Phillips could do to help the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, the relationship with Vic Fangio was strong in Miami. One of the few where it was very strong when Vic was with the Dolphins. So that's a positive. But look, he's got a career high in pressure rate this year, 18.7%. Do not look at the sacks with him. He only has 3, but he's getting to the quarterback. He's really good at getting in the backfield. Personally, this is a move I thought they should have made maybe this offseason, trading for this type of caliber of a player. I really like what Roseman did. I think he used that extra 3rd round pick he had as a way to kind of jump over the Patriots who were interested in him. I believe the 49ers were also interested in him because they lost their guys. So, kudos to Howie Roseman for that. But again, I'm going to connect my Phillies thing here. Oh, he's just making up for bad moves he made this offseason or lack of moves he made this offseason. But kudos to him for fixing it.
Well, I'm kind of torn on that because I do think you get into the season. Look what happened. This is a perfect bye weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, everything that could have broken their way broke their way. Green Bay loses, Detroit loses, the Commanders lose, even injuries, which are terrible, but significant injuries to the Packers, to the Commanders. I mean, everything broke the Philadelphia Eagles' way. And I think if you're a smart GM, you're going, boy, now the window was always open, but now you see the window is wide open. So why not increase the urgency? And by the way, they've been looking, this was well known around the league, Jeff. They were looking at Jaylen Phillips. They wanted to find a way. And they were still being, by the way, disciplined. They were going back and forth on the 3rd round pick. They give up their own 3rd round pick, which will be at the bottom of the round. And they got Miami to kick in and pay part of the salary. They're still disciplined on top of it.
It's a great trade for the Eagles. And look, John, I love everything you said too, because when I was going through the conference standings last night during the Sunday night football game, I'm thinking to myself, they literally are a win away in Green Bay next week, a win away against Detroit in 2 weeks from basically having every single tiebreaker you need to have to win, to get the number 1 seed in this conference. That's huge.
Yeah, could say that. And we know, hey, playing at Lincoln Financial Field in January is not fun
Yeah.
for other teams. So getting that top seed is always a big deal. And the Eagles look like they have the inside track. A lot of football to play. Things the Eagles are going through this, and people have complained about some of the injury issues for the Eagles this year. It ain't even close to everybody else with these meaningful season-ending injuries. They've had this elongated, I don't want to call it luck because they hate that term, but boy, they are on a
Part of
heater
it
when
is
it comes
luck.
to yeah. Part of it is they're on a heater when it comes to guys being healthy or at least not having season-ending injuries, and that can happen at any time. So
You
you
know what?
always
In a way, too, John, and we talked about this in the summer. The blessing in disguise for them was, remember we talked about, okay, on paper, their edge rushers aren't bad if this works, if this works, if this works. But what if player A gets hurt or player B gets hurt? Well, they got player A hurt and Nolan Smith, and player B retired and Zadarius Smith after you brought him in. So I think they knew what they needed.
Yeah, definitely. They knew what they needed. They swung for the fences as well. With Micah Parsons, that was never going to happen. Myles Garrett, that was never going to happen. But they made the calls, so they're doing the due diligence and trying to pry away the really true superstars. But as far as what was realistic, to me, this was the top guy. This was it. This was the guy, and they got him. So they deserve credit for that, from my perspective.
Yeah, and I remember when I wrote a couple weeks ago when Graham was coming back, I said, potential trade candidates here, and Jaylen Phillips was at the top of my list. It was him and Trey Hendrickson, and this was before Hendrickson got hurt, obviously. But if you're looking for a long-term fix, Phillips is the guy because he is 26. He's played under Vic, knows how Vic's defense works, has a good relationship with him. Just it almost feels like they got their free agent this year if they choose to bring him back.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting too, because if he plays well, if you think about it, if he plays well down the stretch and they go win another Super Bowl and he plays well, all of a sudden he's getting a lot of money. So that, but that, as I said to Zander, that's for a conversation down the road. This is about taking advantage of the window open now and trying to make another run. And from that standpoint, I can't find many faults in this particular trade. Now, Jair Alexander, what is wrong with people, Jeff? The guy's played 61 reps this year. He's been a
benched
healthy
in Baltimore
on what's been a terrible defense that has needed cornerback play. The same people, Jeff, are making fun of him when A.J. Brown was scorching him when he was still with Green Bay. Now he's Jair Alexander from 2020. What am I missing?
He's just here for depth. That's it. You traded nothing for him.
Exactly.
I thought the Michael Carter trade was a bigger move than Jair Alexander. In my personal opinion, then Carter struggled at times this year. But you need the depth there. Obviously, the big winner.
Do you even need the depth? How much
do
they hate Jacorian Bennett?
Yeah. You know who the big winner is, John? Keely Ringo.
I know.
That's the winner.
Now he's got to play. I mean, if he had his best game against the Giants, but
it's the Giants.
he's been very inconsistent. And if he shows up against Green Bay, remember Green Bay, yes, a lot of bad things happened to him over the weekend. Kraft was having a phenomenal year. He's out. But they're still a good team, and they lost a game. So you go into when you lose a game, you tend to get more focused and bear down. So that's going to be a tougher game, I think, than people realize for the Eagles. But nonetheless, They also can throw the football when they're clicking. They're very inconsistent when they're clicking. They have a bunch of good receivers, even though they don't have a great receiver, star receiver. They also lost Matthew Golden. I don't know how serious that injury is. So we'll see. But he's got to be more consistent. But if it's his job to lose, right?
I agree. But by the way, with that Packers game yesterday, I didn't watch as much as the 1 o'clock games as I normally do. Obviously, but I watched a lot of that game. That's a game you're Green Bay. You can't lose at home.
That's a bad loss.
That's a really bad loss, and that's why I can't take this. As much as I like the Packers, this is why I can't take them seriously. They just seem to rise up to the occasion when everybody's watching them, but when you're not paying attention to them, they have a loss like that. And give Carolina credit, John. They're in the mix. They're all of a sudden there's 9-10 NFC teams in the mix for 7 spots. It's going to be fascinating how this is going to play out.
It is.
Yeah,
Jeff, it feels like the Eagles have the best roster of them all. I mean, it really does. And I don't think that's Eagle homer to say that. It feels like after the Jaylen Phillips acquisition, they're heading. I mean, not head above everybody else, but I think they have the best chance, and they seem to win those games.
Those wins in September over the Rams and the Bucs were so huge for this football team, even though they weren't playing well, because they were able to get those tiebreakers. And look, the Rams could easily win the NFC West just as much as the Seahawks and 49ers can. I'm still impressed with the Seahawks. I've been impressed with them for a long time. John, your boy torched the Commanders last
I
night.
know. Oh, but he can't play. He can
play.
Is it so hard for people to understand that maybe the New York Jets did a bad job and the guy recovered and has developed to the point he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL?
Matt Rule had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on his team and could not win.
Yeah, well, yeah. And he's not the Penn State coach, so I know you don't
that's a great weekend for me. Why do you think I'm wearing this? that Penn State got destroyed by Ohio State this weekend as expected, and Matt Rule was not what a great weekend.
I have a good friend whose son goes to Penn State, so he's adopted Penn State. I have to talk him off the ledge every weekend. There was that moment where I guess they cut it to 17-13, and you're like, hey, maybe they can get something going, because they have a bunch of talented players, obviously. And I'm like, no shot. I told him, no shot. Ohio State.
I was coaching a basketball game Saturday. Our varsity basketball team was in a showcase, and I'm getting updates on the game, and between games, a lot of the kids are Penn State fans, and they're like, hey, coach, Penn State winning, get an hour or two downtime. And I said, it's 17-14. They were all excited. And then when I told them after the second game,
exactly what it was 17-14. I was like, nah, it's not. They don't have a shot.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I just wanted them to keep it close. They did for a bit, but that secondary is really bad. Ohio State's really good, too. Let's not beat the bush here.
Yeah. The only thing when I'm watching college football, the only thing I root for is competitiveness. And you get very rarely. There were 2 games. I'm going back and forth. Penn State, Ohio State, and my adopted team, which is Vandy, who got bull rushed by Texas.
Could have told you that was John.
Well, Texas is very talented. How bad has Arch Manning been that team's not near the top of that?
Until the last 2-3 weeks, he hasn't been very.
He's come alive a little bit. He's come alive.
Yeah, but come on, you got more talent than everybody else, and
I was more speaking on Vandy. Eventually, the luck running out.
Well, that's the whole point. They're an underdog. That's why I've adopted them. That's the whole point of being an underdog.
And the SEC, it's very good. You get murder's row every single week. I mean, that's one thing I've always said about the SEC. They are right about that. You go from Missouri the one week to Texas, and they were both really good teams.
Yeah, and then you get a shitty team like South Carolina can even beat you if they play well on a particular day. So, it is more difficult than most college. Although there's, at some point there's going to be 4 college conferences, so everybody's going to be in a power conference.
Big Ten had their way. It'd be a super league right now.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the Eagles. People are probably pissed off because we're talking college. How dare we talk college football on the day?
How dare we be football junkies, John McMullen?
Wait, I got to ask both of you this question because, John, you've been on this from literally the start of the summer talking about this edge rushing group. Well, you bring in Jaylen Phillips now today. Phillips, Nolan Smith, assuming he returns, Jalen Hunt, Josh Uche, Brandon Graham.
I don't even think you need Brandon Graham.
But
I don't think you do either.
You do have him as a rotational, maybe a run stopping type of guy this year. Has that become, I don't want to call it a strength, but do you feel as though the weakness there at the edge that this team has had all year has now been patched up by the move of Jaylen Phillips?
Jeff?
Well, I think it's definitely better. I mean, when they got Brandon Graham, I said, well, you need more. You just can't rely on 37-year-old BG. And I think when you get Nolan Smith healthy, I think that's going to help. I mean, obviously that triceps injury was still bothering him. But again, that's a blessing in disguise because you know what you need. And you put too much pressure on Jalen Hunt, who's starting to come around a little bit. Josh Uche is doing what I expected him to do, which, again, that's more than fair. Azeez Owusu-Ari is hurt. It looks like he will be back at some point. I know it's a hamstring injury.
What? He's not coming back.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not part of it anyway. But the 5 guys Zander mentioned, I think this is good enough. Do you want that superstar? Yes, but Jaylen Phillips is good. Let's not sugarcoat it here. He's a very good player. He's going to play well under Vic Fangio. It's a contract year. I think this is what they needed. I'll be honest. They should have done this in the summer.
Yeah, well, I agree. They didn't do enough in the summer. And I said it pretty much the entire time. I cannot believe Howie Roseman is going into a season with this edge rushing room. I don't know how many times I said that. Ultimately, I knew he was going to do something. That started with Zadarius Smith. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Walked away from the game. And Zadarius was playing well, by the way. That wasn't working out. He was playing good football. And now they've turned the page and gone with Jaylen Phillips, which makes him much better. I am a little concerned about Nolan Smith from the standpoint of I think everyone assumes he's coming back after the bye. I'm going to wait and see on that.
Yeah,
I think it could be a couple of weeks. Yeah, I don't know if it's definitely.
I think he'll be back. I don't think he'll be back Monday. But
let me ask you this, guy. The game is Monday night. When should we be looking for him to get activated if we do think he's going to play Monday night? It would be Tuesday or Wednesday, probably.
Well, Thursday
practice.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Okay, Thursday
I mean, they could do it as early as they wanted, start the practice window, but if they don't do it by Thursday, he's not playing this week. And I don't see why. And if it's imminent, they will definitely 100% start his practice one because you have 21 days. So it would be a tremendously bad sign if they don't start his practice window this week. Tremendously bad.
I mean, and realistically, Nolan Smith should probably be back by the Cowboys game.
That's what, 3 weeks from now? That's Packers, Lions, Cowboys. Is that what we have? Packers, Lions, Cowboys?
Yeah, because you activate the practice window Thursday, so you got a couple weeks, right? You got 21 days. So
21 days.
Yeah. So 14 days of that Thursday, that is the preparation for the Packers game. I think that's more than enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Nolan won't talk about it. I have no idea, but I thought it was notable when it was, because if he wanted to get him ready for the Packers game, I thought we'll start his practice window before the bye week, and you would have gotten some early practice in the ramp up period, and he would have been ready for Green Bay. So that was the first little hint that maybe it's not as close as people think.
The only time I've heard from Nolan over the last month was when I saw him at his locker when BG came back and he was mocking us. Oh, BG, how's it feel to be back? BG, how's it feel to be back? I'm looking like, dude, you're on IR right now. Like, you should be focusing on that. But,
yeah, right. Right.
Like I get it. It's okay to have jokes, but it's like time and place, right?
Yeah, no, I hear you. All right, guys, what do you think of the compensation here on this pick? Because I will say right now it looks like we had 2 third-round picks with the Eagles and the Jets. The Eagles give up the Eagles pick, which is probably going to be obviously later in the 3rd round. But there's still the possibility, right, that they get a 3rd-round comp pick for the Milton
Correct.
Williams move. So they could still end up with 2 3s in next year's draft. They give up a 3rd-round pick. It was the Jets' 3rd-round pick. That's still a pretty price to pay at the deadline, Jeff, for a player who's had 2 season-ending injuries. The last 2 seasons, he had an ACL and an Achilles injury. What do you think of the compensation that they gave up for Jaylen Phillips?
I think it's what you had to give up, right? I think this was
Right.
and you had the collateral to do it. I think that's why I think the Patriots, they tried to give up like a 4th rounder or a day 3, and the Eagles were like, hey, we got some collateral here, and we're probably going to get a pick back anyway. Let's do something with this. They're still going to have 9 picks. So they were never going to keep all 12, 13 draft picks they had. I think we all realized that.
Right.
I just think Howie Roseman said, you know what? I got an advantage here. I don't care if the guy had season-ending injuries. I know his relationship with the coordinator. I know he plays well under the coordinator. But basically, he plays well under any coordinator. But this is a guy that we feel like we are getting some bang for our buck here. That's why I was okay with the compensation.
When you're a good team, I mean, there's different stages of an NFL life cycle. When you're a good team, and obviously the Eagles are a good team, I'm a Les Snead guy.
F them picks.
I'm an F them picks guy. When
we're a young team, It's not like we were the 2018 Eagles when you needed young talent on the roster.
You added a 26-year-old to the youngest defense in the NFL. I think that's good work right there.
Yeah, that's true.
And they got and Miami's paying part of the contract as well. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with this trade from an Eagles standpoint.
By the way, John, you want to talk about breaks? The Dolphins playing on Thursday night was a break because then they could reevaluate everything.
Yep. Everything.
Fire the GM and
They literally, Chris Greer didn't want to trade any of these guys. And they said, you know what? All right, you're out. And Champ Kelly, Champ Kelly, getting mixed up with Champ Kelly. That's his marching orders. All right, we're going to rebuild this thing, take it down to the studs. Go get something for these guys.
I don't think he's the only one going anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chubb might go too.
Yeah, I thought it'd be Phillips. Yeah, I thought it'd be Phillips or Chubb to the Eagles. More preferably Phillips, but Chubb played really well that year under Fangio too. I swear they were like the 2 guys on that defense that got along with Vic.
No, Van Ginkel.
Didn't Christian Wilkins get along with him too?
Yeah, well, it was everybody got along with him except the secondary.
Yeah,
and really was Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. That's it. That's really was it.
Yeah, and they're the vocal ones, so it was what it was. I
remember they were longtime press corners who didn't like playing a bunch of stuff.
And I just remember they asked, like, I think it was Wilkins. I remember writing a story on it. I think it was Wilkins and it was Phillips, and I got the Dolphins transcript and they defended him. They said, hey, look, it's
Ginkel loves them. And by the way, did you watch that game? The difference with that defense?
Oh, yeah.
That guy's on the field. That guy is, if he would have been here, if he didn't get hurt, he would have been here. Man, that is the perfect Vic Fangio player.
Also, JJ McCarthy still is not good.
He stinks.
Don't care. They won that game because of Brian Flores. Brian Flores deserves that game.
They won that game because Brian Flores had Andrew Van Ginkel. He's been out since week 2. He's been out. Yeah. So I think a lot of people don't realize he's not been playing. He was
a defensive player of the year candidate last year.
He's back.
Amazing how big of an impact that guy makes. Andrew.
Oh my God.
He's a good player.
They're a completely different team because he does so much. And Brady was doing it. I couldn't believe, because I thought that game would be 40-10, to be honest. But I didn't know Van Ginkel was coming back.
I didn't either until Saturday.
And Brady was doing the game. Brady's great, by the way. Brady's
very good.
I don't do a lot of, and he's a Michigan guy, so he was sticking up for JJ. I didn't like that part of it, but he's talking about Van Ginkel. It's like the screen game is evaporated when he's on the field. He's the best screen defender I've ever seen. He blows up everything.
You know what I like about Brady, John? When you are geared in life to just be the best at everything you want to be, like if it's a walking contest, Tom Brady wants to beat you.
Yeah, he's
That's
very
how he
good. He's
treats.
very
That's
good.
how he treats his football. It's you know what? No, they're paying me this money. I'm going to make sure they live up to that contract, and good for him.
Yeah, he's very good.
How about
And
that Bears game, by the way? The Bears are fun.
so was
I-
Cincinnati with Joe Flacco. Well, not
Cincinnati
the
is fun, too.
defense, not the
Yeah.
defense, but how about Joe Flacco, man?
I love it.
That game was dead and over. He's just chucking the ball around. What does that tell you, though, about the league that somebody that age can just scorch everybody if he's given a modicum of time? I think that says some good and bad about the NFL.
I think Ben Johnson was right, and I listened to his post game locker room stuff. I don't tend to do that, but I had more time, and he goes, "I think he's right. They lose that game last year, the Bears. That's a game they lose
Probably.
last year."
Well, how
But-
about that? How about that tackle?
Yeah,
Well, not tackle on that tackle attempt with Loveland. I mean, that was a hell of a throw. You got to
Yeah,
get
it
that
was.
Caleb Williams. That he
Yeah.
ripped that thing. He
So
ripped that thing.
my last article for CBS was, and it was we have these things called budget items, and one of my big weekly articles was I do an overreactions column, but they wanted me to expand it and do predicting them. And it's basically a prediction on the week. And I said, Caleb Williams is going to be the first Bears quarterback to throw for 30 touchdowns. I thought he'd light up the Bengals defense. And in fairness, he did. He didn't have 4 touchdowns like I thought, but he had 3.
That also the tight ends in this league are unbelievable.
Colson
now.
Loveland, Tyler Warren, Brock
Yeah.
Bowers.
Brock Bowers is like,
what a
oh
difference
my
he made.
god. Sam Laporta.
Tucker Kraft, man. I mean, I know
Tucker
he's out
Kraft,
now.
yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah,
is
he's
he going to
hurt
be
now.
done, you guys think?
I think he's done for the year. I think
And you know
tore
what?
his ACL.
Luke Musgrave doesn't suck either. Like it's just
he
Tucker
doesn't.
Kraft is better.
Yeah,
So
Tucker Kraft's crazy good.
another guy too. Like I think he will get traded this week. Zach Ertz.
Well, at this stage of his career, he's still amazing. But the new breed of tight ends that they just can't deal with those guys. And it starts with Brock Bowers and your guy Warren as well.
Tyler Warren was incredible last year.
Brock Bowers is, for many years, I would default to George Kittle. He's getting older, and he was the best tight end in football. But Brock Bowers, he's on a crappy team, so people don't realize it. But my God,
You play fantasy football, you know who he is.
I don't. But
I
You know
have
who
it,
you're
but-
talking to, Jeff Kerr?
I know, but I'm just saying, if you play fantasy football, you definitely know who Brock Bowers is.
That's like saying if you play Madden, you'll know who he is to John. Come on, man. Come on.
Honestly, a whole generation of fans got into football because of Madden.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and
I mean, those Madden games in the 90s and 2000s were incredible.
hey,
Now
I'm
suck.
just saying, hey, fans can do whatever they want, but there's a lot of people that got into it for fantasy football reasons as well. But I find them to be less educated fans, the Madden people.
You know the fans that bother me? I'll really go into this. The ones that call Zach Ertz a traitor because he plays for the Commanders. I said, the guy just caught
I feel like
a
they're few and
game-winning
far
touchdown pass for your
Yeah.
favorite football team to win a Super Bowl, and you honestly want to call him that? I have no time for you.
I mean, that's
I know.
it's a business. They treat the players like it's a business.
Yep.
The players treat it like
I
it's
was
a
treated like a business this past week. I know.
Yeah, it's a
the
part
same
of it.
thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just a part of it. I agree with you guys. But I do think the Eagles are a lot better today. It's crazy you have a bye week, Jeff, and basically everything goes right. It almost feels like,
Everything went your way.
it almost feels like we won a football game this weekend and we didn't even play.
almost better than winning a football
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
because
this is
everything-
better than when
Right, nobody's in
you
danger.
added talent. You added talent at cornerback and Carter. You added Jaylen Phillips. You got
you
the
got the
Packers in.
rest and
Yeah.
watch everybody lose and get
Yeah.
healthier.
Oh, and by the way, the Cowboys can put the icing on the cake with tonight.
Yeah.
I said last Sunday, I'm pretty confident the NFC East is going to have a repeat winner for the first time in 21 years, and people did not like that. But I'm more than confident now.
Yeah, I played the odds and I was wrong on that one because they're going to coast to this NFC East title. So
Games are bad, man. They're just bad.
Yeah.
I watched the 49ers play the Giants yesterday a little bit, and I had to turn that game off. Giants are. whew.
boy, you talk about injuries. The 49ers, they lose another edge rusher, their first round pick. I'm surprised that John Lynch didn't go in there and say, I'm going to outbid the Eagles. I mean, he needs something.
Do you remember when it was a couple? Remember when the Eagles had the soft tissue injury thing and they changed everything up?
Yeah.
The 49ers have kept pretty much the same training staff since Lynch has been there. And 49ers fans are saying, like, okay, this is more than just we're injured.
Well,
Something's going on.
See, now it's been longer term, but I mean, a torn ACL is a torn ACL. How do you
Exactly.
prevent that? How do you?
But it's just all the injuries they have and how long it's taken these guys
Now
to get back.
the rehab part of it that you can take a look at, but
Yeah.
the guy's tearing his ACL. There's no.
Well, the Brock Purdy stuff I think is concerning fans right now because
Should it be? Because I was just about to ask, is the other guy better?
I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, look, they probably should have just not paid Brock and took their. Mac Jones is better than what people realize. Again, another one. It didn't work in New England, but that wasn't his fault.
Boy,
I just feel like Shanahan should have learned by now that his system is, just get a quarterback that's on time and on target.
Can you imagine? I'm not.
If I were Kyle, I would have kept Sam, man. I would have kept Sam.
Here's my thing. Josh McDaniels was not in New England. When did he get hired? 21 or 22, John? When he got hired as the Raiders coach, was it 22?
I'd have to look.
So I think Josh was there year one with Mac Jones. Mac Jones had a great rookie year. Then he went
He was 22 to Vegas. 22 to
Okay,
Vegas.
yeah. So he was there in 21. I thought he was. So I remember saying, wow, Josh McDaniels really got Mac. He might get another head coaching job. And he did. I did not like it, but you can't deny what Josh McDaniels does.
He's a great coordinator, bad head coach.
He's like Wade Phillips on the defensive side. Terrible head coach, but great coordinator.
I like
Vic Fangio.
I think Drake May is going to be a good player.
I do too. And you know what? The Patriots, they survived on the hair of their chinny chin yesterday.
Yeah, so what do you do if you're San Francisco and Brock Purdy's ready to play? Do you pedal it?
You gotta play him. You paid him.
You gotta pay him.
I'm soft pedaling that thing. I am pushing the brakes until he's 150%.
But here's the thing: he's been quote unquote ready the past like 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden he's out. So,
how do you bench a guy who keeps winning games? It's hard to do. It's hard to do.
Yeah, but you know how you do it?
They got to go back to Brock. They're not going to go. They can't.
You know how you do it when a guy like Mac Jones has a bad game against the Texans.
You got to wait. You got to wait for the loss. You got to wait for the loss. Yeah. And he's not won every game, but
sneaky good game yesterday. Sneaky good game.
How bad is the Jayden Daniels injury?
Horrible.
Horrible.
Like,
I saw the clip, but
it's non-throwing. It was grotesque, but it's non-throwing. So that's good. I saw Dr. Chow talking about it. It's not career threatening. And he might even make it back by the end, but he won't because they won't be relevant. So why would you? I would say
also Eagles fans, your last 4 games now.
Yeah,
Raiders. Commanders, Bills, we all know what they're going to play. I assume they're still going to be playing for something because the Patriots are legit. And Commanders, think about that.
Yeah, Commanders with Marcus Mariota. So,
I don't, again, that's why I don't like this whole you load up on someone at the end of the season. The schedule makers, like, there's a reason why I enjoyed the Eagles-Cowboys in week 1 and the Eagles-Cowboys in week 12, because in a way they're still relevant.
Yeah, well, I've always said that about division games. There's a give and take. Like the whole thought process when they put them late was you're more likely to not tank against your division rival, but nobody cares now. That was the whole thought process. So I'd like to have them earlier to make them relevant, to make them mean more.
I'm trying to think when they changed it, when they made it. Was it 2009, John, when they made every division
You're
get
the
on?
year guy. I don't
Yeah,
know. Like I said,
I
everything.
remember when the Eagles played the Cowboys in '08, the 44-6 game, the NFL really liked how, these two teams are in the same division and they're playing for a playoff spot. And man,
Yeah,
if we
when it
could
works
create
out, it's great.
yeah,
When it
yeah.
works
If we could
out, it's
create the
great.
artificial Game 7 moment, by the way, I'm shitting on NASCAR right now. So if we could create that moment every week, and that's the problem, you're trying to create something that isn't there.
Yeah, when it works, like last year, Week 18 was the last game was Detroit, Minnesota, 14-win teams, and well, I guess Detroit
Yeah,
was whatever.
but it worked out last year. It doesn't
Yeah,
work out like that every week
no.
or every year.
Well, there was a stretch when the Cowboys were good and the Eagles were good, where Dak and Jalen Hurts didn't play each other in a meaningful game for what, 3 years?
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
played once against each other, maybe in that stretch.
It was a long time. That's right.
In 22, remember, Cooper Rush played against the Eagles at home, and Jalen was out against the Cowboys. What was it,
Yeah.
Christmas week? Yeah. And Gardner
Yeah.
Minshew led up the defense.
Yeah. They should have won that game. Yeah.
They should have won that game. And then Gardner played like garbage against the Saints.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good game by Gardner. Yeah, that Gardner's the greatest guy ever, man. He when he had, was it the Jets he had the big game against?
Yeah, in 21, I still remember that. I think I wrote a column after that game. I covered that game. I think it was the first road game I covered, and I said, maybe they should give Jalen off another week or two just because of what he did.
The best part of that was Gardner went into like Nick's office and was it Nick?
Yeah. Nick was there. That was Nick's first year.
Yeah. And said, "Hey, what do I got to do to earn the starting spot?" Basically, hey, dude, go sit in the corner, man. You're not going to be the starting quarterback.
No, and remember, honestly, like when Jalen came back from that ankle injury, that was kind of the start for him. Like, because he played very efficient after that, and they won their last couple games, and they clinched the playoff spot with a week left, and
Gardner was a fun guy. He'd bring his camper in.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't take twos. And
what did he wear? The 70s like Playboy shorts or the 80s? Forget what he used to wear.
Yeah. Very competitive.
Jeff, you think Howie Roseman makes a more move? We got till tomorrow at 4 p.m. is the trading deadline. He's made now 3 moves leading up to the trade deadline. Do you think he makes another?
I don't want to say he's done because I don't think he's done, but I think he got what he needed, Zander. I honestly think he got
I think that's a good assessment.
Exactly what he needed.
I think he's got to get rid of some players, man.
Yeah, he does. Well, he's got to get rid of players, obviously.
Well, maybe that's the news. Maybe you have trades going out. I don't know who he wants to send out that's worth something on the trade market. There might not be.
I put 8 corners on their roster. I said, hey,
but for example, take a perfect example. If you want to get rid of 2 corners, is any of them worth anything on the trade market? Maybe Ringo, but they're not going to trade Ringo because of the special teams.
I would trade for Dory Jackson.
I don't think Dory Jackson is getting anything in the trade market.
He might give you a 7th round pick. I mean, not
That's
relevant.
a win.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of teams that need corners. A lot of teams that need corners.
Tennessee Titans need corners.
Well, yeah, but do they really
they need everything.
I mean, they're not looking to pick up veteran players. But there's good teams that need corners. And I could see them getting a conditional 7th, maybe, for Adoree Jackson. Bennett might be on his way out, similar to Mechie.
Yeah. What do they think of Ja'Cory and Bennett?
I mean, why do you need him now? Ja'Cory and Bennett.
You don't.
Well, some people are still under the belief that he's the best option.
The Raiders won that trade, by the way.
Yeah, they got Thomas Booker. But, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Ja'Cory and Bennett. He got injured. And he wasn't playing a lot.
Well, if the Eagles thought he was the answer, potentially, they wouldn't have traded for him. Right. They wouldn't have traded for Jair Alexander.
And when he did play, I mean, John and I literally sat in the press box and were saying when he came in, they're like, look at him get torched.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
the
what does
Corey.
Jair Alexander? What's his value to this team? Does he do anything for this team, or is he a
He doesn't.
depth body that might not even see the field much?
I just think he's there. Honestly, it's you buy low and you see what you got.
Yeah. It's a worthy dart throw. That's how I
Yeah,
just
and you know what? If he's good,
Great.
kudos to Howie again.
Yeah.
Kudos to him anyway.
Get
but-
all his flowers. That's the brilliance of Howie. He'll get all the flowers if he even makes a play. And if he doesn't, everybody will forget about it. And go, no big deal.
and that's what it should be, right?
Yeah.
It's fine.
He didn't give up anything. It's
Well,
fine.
if you look at Howie's in-season trade track record, it's not
It's not
all
great.
great. Yeah, it's not all great.
Jannard Avery was my favorite of the bunch.
Chenardi.
Look, I remember Robert Quinn. They brought him. Robert, he had like a bunch of sacks the year before.
Golden Tate won you a playoff game.
Golden
Yeah, he
Tate,
did.
that's right. I remember Golden
Honestly,
Tate.
I think Golden Tate justified the 3rd-round pick when he caught that touchdown in the playoff.
It's funny. He ran the wrong route, but still
Yeah,
won
he
the
did.
game.
Yeah, well, sometimes
And,
that's
and he
football.
trashed him on the way out too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think he still trashes the Birds today. When
He does. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Golden Tate too. I always thought he was a character.
Yeah.
So
He gets a lot. He gets a lot. He's not well liked. I will say that. Golden Tate.
did Slay like him? I never got to ask Slay that. They were teammates.
Don't know. Don't know. But I know Percy Harvin doesn't like him.
Oh yeah, obviously. I think that one is well known in the NFL world. Go look it up if you guys.
I know. I know Nelson didn't like him. Nelson Aguilar.
Oh, Nelson had I gotta give Nelson credit for still being around because that guy went through hell and back.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Nelson moment. He remembered me, and I wanted to talk to him about he caught touchdown in a playoff game against for the Ravens against the Texans, and he saw me. He said hi to me, but he said, "Philly media, man, I'm sorry, I ain't talking to you."
That's classic.
But he said hi to me, so asked me how I was doing. But that was it. That's how far
That's
he
a famous, my somewhat famous dust up with Nelson in the locker room.
Oh there's a famous one with you.
had to do with Golden Tate because he was upset that I wrote. And by the way, I was wrong. Nelson was a better player. But I said, hey, well, first of all, I said to Nelson, like, Howie's the one who traded for him. I didn't trade for him. Number one, I don't know why you're mad at me. It's an indication he gave up significant that he thought he was a better player. He was wrong. Howie was wrong. I was wrong. But Nelson didn't like it. Yeah. Well, he
Guys,
took a
rank the cornerback 2 options. You got Jacorian Bennett, Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, and Jair Alexander.
Keely Ringo's 1 right now to me.
Ringo 1. All right, who you got else?
But if you move Cooper to the outside, obviously it's Cooper.
Well, yeah, leave that aside for a second because I don't think they want to do that.
I don't think they do either. I mean, I presented that as maybe that's an option last week, but I'm like, I don't know if they really want to do it.
Ringo 1, do you have Alexander 2, or do you have Bennett 2, or Adoree Jackson 2?
John, you want to take this?
Well, but right now, unless they trade him, Jackson's 2. Right now, it's Ringo 1, Jackson 2, Bennett 3, Alexander 4 as he comes in.
Oh no, Alexander 4.
Well, no, I mean the immediate. They'll see what he does in practice, and a lot of it will depend on how Ringo plays in Green Bay, and what Howie does between now and tomorrow, because he might move Jackson or Bennett. He's not moving Ringo, and that'll shift things up. But all I'm trying to say with that ranking is today at 9:07 on Monday morning, which will change probably by Tuesday at 4:00. He's the new guy coming in, so he's last. But I do think they're not. What the Alexander trade means more than anything else is they don't like any of them. They don't like Ringo. They don't like Jackson. They don't like Bennett. And they're trying to throw another one in the mix and throw everything in the hopper, roll it around, and see who comes out the best in the end.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember someone said, 5 years ago, I said, I'll tell you what I was doing 5 years ago in life. in terms of just even going to the supermarket. So don't give me that. Think
I
about that.
mean, give me
5
a
years
break.
ago. Yeah.
I and it's my own fault, but Jeff appreciates it because he knows what we deal with. But some of these people, you get attacked for giving your opinion.
And they want your opinion. That's the
Welcome
irony
to the
of it.
Thunderdome, boys. We have a privilege to talk about sports for a living. I think it's a good thing at the end of the day. It is what it is.
I do too.
I mean, but there's got to be a logical foundation, or I'm just muting you. I'll tell you that right now. There's got to be a logical foundation. The point is,
you actually tell people you mute them. I don't tell them that.
Oh,
yeah. John says
that's the best part. It's undefeated.
Well,
John,
no, nobody knows.
Your guys' segment, the Jeff Kerr segment here is famous for John and Jeff collectively coming together to bitch about the 5 people who bitch at them on Twitter all day.
I have to give the fans credit here. Last week, I got so much support from fellow media members, from fans across the board. I'll say it. I was down in the dumps Wednesday. I really was.
Yeah,
I went and I coached my team, and I gave an emotional speech as an assistant. And it was. I watched Trey Savage pitch, and that made me feel a lot better. But because I know him and the family, but
right,
man,
he's from Boyertown, Jeff.
He's from,
Jeff is responsible for his success. I'm gonna go
honestly.
that far.
You guys know how far he lives from me? Like literally 5 minutes. My buddy, who is the head coach of Boyertown, Trey Savage is his neighbor. So it was really cool just to see that rise the whole year. But like when I put that out Thursday, I'm like, man, this is the thing I don't want to say. I just press send. I turn off the phone. I check the notifications. Like I had so many people were like, John reached out right away. Ed, Martin, just across the board from the Eagles beat, from national writers. It was really cool. It was really surreal. I felt so much better after that.
That's good, Jeff. And Jeff, I'll tell you this. All right. And I know,
especially from the fans too. Yeah.
I understand that it's a tough situation. You got a great work ethic, number 1. You got great passion, number 2, and you got great talent, number 3. Those types of people make it, in life. And I'm confident that you got a lot of good things coming. So
it was crazy. As a writer, I wanted answers, but I knew I wasn't getting those answers. I know the reason, but there's always a reason behind the reason, right? You're just wondering why it's yourself, but it's fine. I'll live, and hopefully I bounce back on my feet. Like I said, cautiously optimistic that something will happen. So I did decide this is what I want to do. So you got to go.
Right. It's a part of this business. There's no doubt.
Yep.
All right, Jeff, give me some final thoughts here, man. Eagles are a day and a half out from the deadline here. All right. They made 3 moves, 3 acquisitions at the trade deadline. The biggest one here being today, Jaylen Phillips. They sit atop of the NFC after what is a massive win of a weekend on the bye week for the Eagles. Give me some final thoughts on where this team is heading into this Week 10 matchup versus the Green Bay Packers.
I mean, it's a huge matchup, but I thought Green Bay was going to win, and I thought, hey, this is probably going to be for number 1 seed. And still can be, right? But now, all of a sudden, if you're the Eagles, you smell that blood in the water, right? It's okay, you already got a tiebreaker over the Rams. You got a tiebreaker over the Bucs, who have the same record as you. Green Bay's got that tie, but they got 2 losses now. You beat them, you got that under control, no matter what they do. You beat the Lions, you really got things under control. And look, there's still a lot of football to play, as John said. But all of a sudden, if the Eagles do what a lot of us think they can do, they're going to be – that was a tough thing with last year with them going for the number 1 seed. They started 2-2, and it ended up working out for them. But I kept saying to myself they were going to play Detroit in the NFC Championship game. It's going to happen, and it never did. Now it's like John said. We saw how dangerous they are when they come through Philly. If you're the Packers and the Lions, you got to make sure that does not happen.
Yeah, bad losses for those 2 teams at home.
At home, yeah. I forgot the Packers were even at home until I saw the throwbacks.
Oh, those were brutal, by the way.
Oh, man. It was throwback weekend. And look, I know John's not a Jersey guy, but that
Wait, what throwbacks didn't you like? The Commanders? No, who had the
Packers?
Packers. They were 1923 throwbacks.
Idiot.
I didn't hate them.
The matchup of the weekend was Seattle and Washington. They
But
both wore their throwbacks. It
yeah,
was great.
nobody has worse throwbacks than the Steelers, I think.
Oh man, were they bad?
The only thing, well, the Eagles were bad when they wore those Frankfurt. What are they, Jeff? The
Frankfurt
Frankfurt.
Yellow Jackets from 1933. By the way, they scored 56 in them.
Yeah, well, they look like shit, but yeah, they scored 56.
I
That's the
have
only
one of those.
time. That's the only time I notice uniforms when they wear these stupid, ugly, disgusting things from the 1920s or 30s.
I get why they did it. It was the 75th anniversary. I don't know if they'll do that for the 100th anniversary. I
Ah,
kind of would be
hideous.
shocked.
By the way, what about our guy Cam Little?
Hey, how about that, John? We said someone was going to do it. I should have guessed it was him.
Thought it'd be Aubrey, but
A lot of
68
people
yards.
did.
By the way, Tom Dempsey, for I'm old, but people should remember him if they're longtime Eagles fans. He didn't do it with the Eagles, but he had the record for like 30 years.
I think he had the most 50-yard field goals, though, in an Eagles uniform until, I want to say, Akers, and then Elliott broke it.
So he set the record in 1970. It was 63 yards. It held up for like 30 years.
Tom
And
Dempsey and that steel toe boot he had because of his toes were messed up.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm counting them up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 kicks of over 63 yards since Jason Elam tied the record like 30 years after Tom.
Prater was the first one to break it, right? Was it Prater?
Let's see. I got it in front of me. 2011. It was actually Janikowski tied it. Who broke it? Yeah, it was Matt Prater, hit from 64 in 2013.
John, do you remember the game in 2008 when the Raiders put out Janikowski kick a 76-yard field goal at halftime and he kind of had the distance?
Yeah, that dude had.
Are they juicing the balls? They're juicing the balls, aren't they?
They are. They are. They think they're. I don't know how you juice a football, but they think.
I've talked to a couple kickers. They won't say. I think they know something.
I mean, Vic brought it to light earlier this year at a press conference. I mean, he went on a rampage about it, like an unprompted tangent from Vic Fangio.
I asked Michael Clay about it in camp, and I got the same Michael Clay answer.
Well, you know what? You know what set the Eagle? Chase McLaughlin is a pretty good kicker, but he's never been known as the big-legged guy who's going to kick it from 65.
Right.
And he drills that,
yeah.
I mean, he's
like
making
when Matt
it from
Bryan hit the
65.
62-yarder to beat the Eagles in 06. I'm thinking, okay, it's hot out, it's humid. He kicked the line drive and it went through. It's like you couldn't believe it, but you could if you looked at the elements. Now he's just playing the football.
Yeah, like Aubrey, he's gonna break. He's gonna hit 70 at some point.
Tucker Jerry will have the fans on, right, John?
Yeah.
That's always a conspiracy theory. I hear that all the time.
Joey Sly's got a big leg. Like there's certain guys that have these massive legs, but Chase McLaughlin came out of nowhere and he's banging through a 65-yarder. That was weird. Anyway,
I've had people ask me over the summer, like, what do you think they should do? And I said, honestly, I probably would go to the college lines, the college hash marks.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Make it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. Just do that. It's like a minor change. It's fine. Like I don't think you should move the goalpost.
I'll tell you what, though, on a bigger level, these coaches got to start coaching differently because if you take a lead late in the game and there's like 40 seconds left and you're getting the ball at the 35 or even further,
you need like 20 yards.
Yeah. You got to start coaching differently, and as usual, NFL coaches are slow to adjust. I see a lot of guys game management just messes. So
I know we don't realize this, John, because of the stadium that the Eagles play in, but a lot of these stadiums are becoming very favorable to kickers. Yeah. You watch around the league, and there's going to be more of them.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Jeff, good stuff, man. Appreciate you joining in today. As always, a lot of talk in the NFL world, a lot of talk with the trade deadline coming up. So appreciate you doing it today, my friend. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, brother?
Yeah, sounds good. By the way, I watched a lot more football than I thought I was going to yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, welcome to our
It's a
world.
habit.
That's
Yeah,
all I
well,
freaking
no,
do. That's all I
and
freaking do.
and that means you just saw a bunch of shitty football. That's what that means.
You,
Right.
you know what it is? I think I enjoyed it more because I knew I wasn't glued to the computer when
Yeah,
I was
you
doing
just
it.
it was
Oh yeah,
it
you
was
definitely
freeing in a way. Yeah.
enjoy it more. Yeah.
Like I watched Chiefs Bills, I watched the whole thing. I'm like saying that's pass interference and that's this and that's that, and I'm
Don't even
like,
get me started on the officials. They did a live Key and Peele skit in
yeah.
Carolina with Rico Dowdle. It's the
I was like, I almost tweeted it yesterday when Mahomes threw the one up before the last throw, the one he threw to Tyquan Thornton, which I thought Thornton was going to catch. I'm like, any other time that's pass interference, but until it's not. That's what I don't get.
I stand by my long-term policy. You can't fix a problem till you identify the problem.
Yeah.
And people think the problem is officiating. It's the damn legislation. I
Yeah.
wish I could convince people.
Also, I am so glad someone watched games yesterday, and I'll give him a shout out. John Marks of the Fanatic. Watch the Bills Chiefs. Watch it. I've been saying this for months, years. Other teams try to run the tush push. I know
Yeah.
John hates it, but it's the same issues. False starts. Like it's not the Eagles. It's just magnified because it's the Eagles.
Well, I think it's
Yep.
magnified here because it's the Eagles.
It
I
is,
saw
but-
I saw
but-
100 Eagle sycophants going, nobody cares if somebody else runs the tush push. No, nobody cares if the Eagles run the tush push.
Yeah.
When it's a
You
shit
guys got
show,
it.
people
The
care.
whole officiating thing is fucking a brutal look, I think.
Oh,
All of a
the
sudden,
officiating in-
all of a sudden, that's the big talking point. Nobody can officiate the tush, but I haven't heard that literally ever since the play started until this year.
Well, they haven't had trouble officiating it.
yeah, they're
so-
just trying to find ways to get rid of it. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
but I
Jeff.
think people get caught up in the reasoning. Everything the NFL and Roger Goodell admits, privately anyway, he does not see NFL officiating as I'm trying to explain. He calls it a public relations problem, not a competitive problem. And he's
agree with
right.
that.
He's right. The problem is it is a competitive problem, and he doesn't recognize it. And people lose games. And when people lose games because of bad legislation, they lose jobs and they lose support staff. There's people, when a head coach loses his job, you know how many people lose their jobs?
A lot of people.
One coach, exactly, or one person.
Okay, so
exactly.
this is my to back up John's point here. The NFL went with those replacement officials in 2012 for as long as they could until something drastic happened. The Fail Mary happened. All of a sudden, got to
The
get
Fail
these guys back.
Yeah.
And remember, it was a month. Remember, John? It was a month. They went with these guys. They were terrible, but they lived until they couldn't.
Yeah.
No doubt. Jeff, good stuff, brother. We got to run. I got to get some more topics in here on John. All right, brother?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks,
Talk
Jeff.
to you next week. Thank
See
you,
you, bud.
There's Jeff Kerr joining us here on Birds 365. Great stuff from Jeff Kerr today. A lot of people in here. Hit that like button, guys, if you're enjoying the program today. A little breaking news. John, is this our first ever time where we had breaking news to this level right before?
Well, I don't. Right. Yeah, probably right before because nobody does anything that early.
Yeah,
a couple
we got
times.
a Saturday night and a Monday morning at 7:30 for Howie.
Couple times early during the show, couple times, but nothing that early. It's just weird. Yeah. The Eagles had it done yesterday, but the league won't let you announce.
They got games going on. Yeah.
Games shows, that was done yesterday.
Done yesterday, announced this morning. Big move for the Philadelphia Eagles to get Jaylen Phillips, or at least the biggest of the moves that they've made so far. Feel like this team's in a pretty good position, John, coming off of their bye week.
Yeah. I don't think they're as good as last season, but I think they're still the best team, certainly. And look, this is an evolving situation. You're coming off a weekend where some of the other good teams didn't look good. So you have that, but that's the NFL. And again, I point back to the game at MetLife Stadium. The Eagles had that game. They've generally been good at avoiding it, or at least better at avoiding those types of things than the other good teams. But we'll have to see, how consistent they are. They still have a lot of things to work on. You don't just pick up a player and magically turn into a Super Bowl team. Maybe, Myles Garrett would get you close, but even Myles Garrett, you don't just magically become a Super Bowl team. But they're in a position to where if they do the things where they need to do, that they should be in a very good position. And number one is always in the NFL health. Number one, because the wrong injury at the wrong time can cripple anybody. So a lot of football to play, but they look in a very, very good spot.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up the health. I know we've had more injuries this year than we've been lucky to have in the last couple of years, but nothing like nobody huge yet is out for the season for the Eagles. You see people dropping like flies across the league. I know again, you don't know how it's going to unfold, but so far the injuries have all been, things where players are going to return. You're supposed to get Nolan Smith back here soon. Obviously brought back Brandon Graham, the AJ hamstring. He should be back now, right? Do you think he'll be back for the Packer game, AJ?
AJ, yeah. And he's not getting traded before tomorrow.
I don't think anybody really thought he was getting traded.
I think there's a lot of people that did, but they'll just recede into the background.
What fucking 6-2 team would trade their best fucking asset on offense? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
A lot of people.
No, you don't do that when you're a great football team. That's what shitty organizations do. All right. That's what shitty organizations do. Denise says, don't jinx us. Denise, I don't believe in jinxes. All right.
Yeah, there's
I don't believe in jinx. Whatever I say on this show has nothing to do with what happens on the field.
I have no control over anything Philadelphia Eagles related because I get that a lot. I'll even say during the game.
He says Philly media led us to believe it was possible. I think it was the New England Patriots media who led you to believe Philly it was possible. Media. John's Philly been laughing at anybody who says they're gonna trade AJ Brown.
First of all, think about the Philly media. I joke about it all the time. We don't have meetings. We don't meet. We don't conspire against your favorite team. We all have independent thoughts. The idea that any media, Philly media, New York media, Chicago media, Los Angeles media, is some kind of monolith is ludicrous and the dumbest thing ever. But yeah, for one, as part of the Philly media, and you watch the show a lot, I mean, did you ever hear AJ's getting traded from me? Anybody?
Nobody heard that from you, John. I know it because I do the show with you every day. Good stuff. Appreciate it. We got a bunch of super chats, John, we're going to get to here. The Jaylen Phillips move is obviously the biggest one that they've made so far. He's plug and play. I think he's the number one edge rusher on the football team immediately, and he fits in the scheme too with Vic Fangio. So I think it's going to be good. How much, John, just kind of inside baseball a little bit on it. When you play with Fangio in the past, I know it was a couple years ago, how much of an acclimation period is there for a guy like Phillips as compared to a guy like Alexander? I know two different positions, but Phillips does have experience, obviously, with Vic Fangio as opposed to Jair Alexander, who does not have that experience.
Well, Vic would tell. I was talking about this with Vic with Brandon Graham, because he mentioned the word retention. How much retention is there? And when I pushed him on it, he said, "Yeah, probably not much." Now I don't know Jaylen Phillips. I assume it's not going to be not much from a retention standpoint. It's not going to take him long. Edge rusher is not the most complicated position on the field. It's a little bit more complicated in Vic's scheme than most, but still, it's about rushing the passer, setting the edge, and occasionally being a flat defender. It's not quarterback. It's not even off-ball linebacker, safety, like, you know, Zach Bond with the green dot or N'Kobe Dean with the green or Reed Blankenship controlling everything on the back end. It's basically, first, second down, set the edge if you're going to play there. Third down, go get the quarterback. Or occasionally, drop into coverage and try to fool the quarterback. That's about it. So I don't think it's going to be much of a it's one of the easiest positions it's not a plug and play league generally, but it's one of the easiest positions to plug and play.
Yep. Good, no doubt. So we'll see how that goes. Good stuff there. I want to thank everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button. All right. On today on the show, we got a big crowd in here, obviously, with the breaking news edition. I want to answer one question here from Ryan, who's over on Facebook watching. Ryan says, Zander, how to get involved in the channel? Ryan, come join over on YouTube if you have YouTube. I see that you're a Facebook guy, but I urge you to use YouTube. We got the big community of people in here. We got all of our members, all of our chatters that you can go back and forth with. They'll debate football with you all day long. All right, just put on your coat, your armor coat, because people are gonna. It gets a little heated in here. All right, let's go to some super chats today. Ryan, appreciate you being here. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button for us today. Derek Elmore becomes a member. Thank you, Derek Elmore. We appreciate it, brother. Here's Dirty Air. Torn Achilles and torn ACL in the last 2 seasons. Oh boy. Yeah, that is some scary.
Yeah, well, there's a reason good players are out there, and there's usually some of the times it's injury related. But good news is he is back. He has been healthy. He's played all games for Miami this season. And the world is different now from a medical standpoint. ACLs, you need a certain amount of time. Achilles, you need a certain amount of time, but once you're healthy, you're healthy. And a lot of improvements. And guys come back from that. Look at N'Kobe. That used to be a death sentence. Guy looks like $1 million out there. That injury used to be a death sentence in the NFL. You weren't coming back from that. Nowadays, they've improved it to where, again, he looks like $1 million out there. Different time.
Yeah, it's true. That is a different time. It's still something to note for sure. Dirty, I appreciate it, brother. Here's Caleb. BG is going to get Phillips right. We fine at DB.
We fine at DB. I don't know about that, but they got 2 really good defensive backs.
Yeah. How did you rank the DB options at 2? Did you have Ringo?
Ringo's 1, Dory's 2. Again, it's going to change by tomorrow. Bennett's 3. Alexander comes in as 4.
Okay.
But I don't believe Dory's or one of the 2, they're going to do something. They're going to create an injury. They're going to trade one of them. They're going to do something. And then it'll become Ringo, Alexander, and whomever the one they keep is as the guys but Ringo will get the first opportunity. And if he plays well, he'll stay in there. He's been very inconsistent, though. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm still hoping that things click for Keely Ringo.
Yeah, we'll see. Caleb, appreciate the super chat. Vulnerable Vitality, $20. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says 2 things. Eagles fans, we really are lucky to have this ownership and management. Second, every time I see Darnold spin it, I like to believe the football gods are somewhere giving J-Mac his flowers. 16 4 tutties to start the game. Yeah, Darnold was surgical last night.
Yeah, he's good. And I think when people, when he's not good in the playoff game and he's getting besieged with 9 sacks, I think the assumption is that some other quarterback wouldn't be besieged by an offensive line that can't prevent 9 sacks. Doesn't matter who, from Tom Brady on down. If you can't block people, you can't play quarterback. But Sam is a good player. He is a good player, and it's time for people to admit that. I mean, I don't know what you have to say, but evidently a lot of people want to be right more than they want to be realistic about what's actually going on. But he's one of the best quarterbacks in football.
He's playing damn good. I don't know if he turns to a pumpkin in the playoffs, John, but we'll see what happens. Vitality, thank you for the super chat, my friend.
Yeah.
Here's
That's
Harris.
the kind of stuff I'm talking about, turning a pumpkin. Why don't you blame the offensive line?
No, I get it. I'm not saying it's all on him. I'm just saying certain moments, people get a reputation, and it's up to them to shed that reputation, John. It is what it is. I mean, how many times has Jalen Hurts had to do that? He can't throw the football, and then he throws the football, and he has to correct it. He can't throw the deep ball.
All quarterbacks, all quarterbacks, all
part
quarterbacks,
of the beast.
All quarterbacks get it. I'm just saying, if you want to be a more seasoned, and maybe fans don't want to be that way, but if you want to understand the game more, you have to understand it's not quarterback by himself out there. That's all I'm saying. It's common sense. Patrick Mahomes has had two of his worst games ever in Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It happens.
Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl that he didn't play too good in. His first Super Bowl he played in, he did not play very good in that game. Here's my boy Alexander Harris. What's up, brother? Thank you for the big $50 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Good morning, crew. Just wanted to say, as a truck driver for Frito-Lay, I dropped off a load of Doritos in York, PA last night, so enjoy. That's classic. Also, this Phillips trade I love, and I'm hearing it was the Eagles' third, not the one from the Jets. Is that true? That is true.
That is true, yes. And they got the Dolphins to kick in for part of the money owed to them for the rest of the season. So it's a very basketball-like trade where Miami's just buying an extra pick because they stink, basically.
It's a good trade, though. I like it. Alexander Harris, good stuff. Yeah, it's good that it's the late pick, too. So we'll see how that goes. Jason A-Team says, does this Phillips trade while bringing BG back make you worry about Nolan at all? Hopefully he is still all right. What did Howie trade for Phillips? He sent the third-round pick, our original third-round pick. So what will probably be at the end or the late third rounder is what he sent. And then the Dolphins, as John just mentioned, ate up some of the contract for Jaylen Phillips as well. So pretty low-risk trade. I mean, it's a third-rounder, so it's a premium asset. But with the comp pick game, maybe you get some back. John, what do you think about that Nolan comment?
I talked about it earlier, to be determined. Ask me again on Thursday. If the practice window doesn't start on Thursday, I will be more concerned. If it does, I think everything's fine.
We'll see what ends up happening with it. Good stuff, Jason 18. Appreciate all of our super chats today, and big thanks to Derek Elmore, became a member. Eagle fan became a member, and my boy Philly Sports Rap became a member. So thanks all you guys for the memberships. Charles Menifee says, if Phillips is as good as I think, the Eagles are the most complete team in the NFL, even considering the weakness at cornerback too.
Yeah, they're in the conversation. That's all that matters. But they're certainly up there. It makes them better. Doesn't make them complete. Nobody's complete, to be honest. But
but most complete doesn't mean fully complete.
Yeah, I mean, they have issues like everybody else, but they're in a position. If you're in the conversation, you're in a good position, and they're in the conversation. People are going to overreact because some of the good teams lost, but that doesn't mean they can't recover and turn into good teams. Because the idea is to win every week, but the idea isn't to be playing your best football in week 9, which the Eagles will be the first one to tell you. So a lot of football to go, which I've mentioned like 4 times on this show. And there'll be ups and downs along the way.
Good stuff. Menifee, appreciate the chat there. All right, John, let's look at some of the what the trade means with Phillips in terms of playing time. Is Jahad Campbell, I mean, what does it look like for him?
Jahad's not relevant. Jihad's not relevant on the edge any longer. I don't think he was relevant before they got Phillips, to be honest, which is part of the problem I've had. We haven't talked about it today, but I've talked about it in the past. I have a very difficult time not keeping Jihad on the field. And Vic loves Nakobe Dean. I love Nakobe Dean, but I think the upside of Jihad Campbell is enormous. I think he's playing well. I think he didn't do anything to indicate he shouldn't be playing. That's one I disagree with, because ultimately, yeah, I want to get Nakobe involved as well because I like him as a player. But look, it's the old nice problem to have, but you got to make difficult decisions. And in this difficult decision, Jihad's playing in my world. But Vic looks like he's going to play Nakobe in base looks and Jihad in nickel looks. And some of that was masqueraded by the fact that you could, when they only had 3 edge rushers before the bye, they gave him some reps at edge. So the playing time looked better than it really was at all-ball linebacker. And now that you have Phillips and Graham's coming and Smith might be coming, there's no reps. You can't even get reps. I don't know how they're going to get reps for Brandon Graham if Nolan Smith is healthy. So that to me is one where I look at and go, but Vic deserves the benefit of the doubt, to say the least. But I would play Jihad Campbell.
I'm with you. I just don't think they're gonna. I think Nakobe Dean is going to be the guy. Now, maybe they do what you just said. The nickel and base, and they have.
Oh, I do that. They're definitely Jihad's going to play. They're not going to just not play.
Yeah, they can't.
So
it is feel completely.
It's going to be Nakobe and base and Jihad and nickel. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think Jihad Campbell. I mean, I hear where you're coming from. Where do if Nakobe's here for the rest of the year and there's no future. Do you wonder if that's a bad move, taking Jihad off the field, because maybe you're sacrificing getting to some of that bigger upside?
Well, you're trying to win a Super Bowl, so you're not worried about 2026. Right. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. You'll get to 2026 when it happens. Same thing with Phillips and all the comp pick talk. Who gives a shit? Let's see what happens. So it's not so much about the upside, although the upside is there and his future is here, and Nakobe's future is, problematic, at least from a standpoint of how do you bring him back. Not necessarily his future in the league, but it's going to be very difficult to bring him back. So Jihad's the long-term answer. We all know that, but that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when he was on the field this year, he was playing some of the best football of any all-ball linebacker in the NFL. Some of the best. Top 10-ish. Why do you take that off the field? It's similar to what I'm saying with a different position, much more impactful position. But if I'm San Francisco, I can't take Mac Jones off the field right now. I can't. When you play well, I'm not taking it off the field. And Jihad Campbell was playing at a really high level. And I would like to explore that further, or at least wait to the game where he plays like shit and then make the move. But
makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I do think the move today, though, John, as you talked about, is the splashiest move yet, is an actual splash move. If Phillips can stay healthy, this feels like a great move, but we will see. Here's ENAL chat. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Appreciate you being here. $20 super chat. Thank you, dude. We appreciate that. He was a good player on a shitty Dolphins team. he will be awesome considering he has Carter on that defensive line. I do think that's a big help. I mean, you got great tackle play right now. They've really been manning the entire D line that tackles this year. Now you're adding a solid edge rusher. That should help both tackles and the edges.
Well, yeah. I mean, Jalen Carter's a big thing. Why can't Eagles fans recognize that, by the way? You see how many sacks Jalen Carter has?
1, I think.
Correct. But yet everyone knows his impact because they watch Eagles games and
Right.
they see him, they see his impact. Like, why can't that translate to the rest of the league? That happens other places as well. Yeah, Jalen Carter is a huge deal and makes it easier for every single Eagles defensive front player. Every single one of them.
John, stupidity drives you crazy, doesn't it?
It does. Yes, it does.
It really does.
Yeah.
That drives you more than anything, I've noticed, John. That's just funny. That's good stuff, though. Yeah, Chad, appreciate the super chat, brother. I think you're spot on. I think he's gonna have a chance to thrive here. Alexander Harris, thank you, brother, for another super chat. He says it's looking like this team is going to have to spread the salary cap more evenly because this defense is going to require money. So, what do you see Howie doing in the offseason with how much money is on the offense? It's a good question. So,
everything is circumstance. How we explain that. Look, they have a lot of veteran players on offense who are in their second, third contract, sometimes even more. In the case of somebody like Lane, those are the guys who get paid in the NFL. That's how the system is set up. They are very young on defense. They have rookie players on their rookie contracts, so they don't have to pay them as much. When they get on the second contract, they have to pay him. That's what we've been talking about. That's why they had the maintenance off season, because they know what's coming with Jalen Carter. They know what's coming with, now it's a more difficult decision with Nolan Smith, but the thought process was he was going to get paid. Maybe not. Quinyon Mitchell's going to get paid, Cooper DeJean, and on and on and on. Maybe Jaylen Phillips. We'll see how things shake out with him. So, yeah, that will begin to ship. Number one, some of it will take care of itself. This is probably Dallas Goedert's last season. It was almost his last season. Kind of an upset it wasn't his last season in Philadelphia. Probably will be, especially the way he's playing, because he'll command more money. Lane Johnson might retire. Cleans up a big chunk right there. So circumstance will take care of some of it. But if it doesn't take care of all of it, and guy like Lane comes back, then you got to make some difficult decisions, which they already had to last year as well. Because, the only reason Jaylen Phillips is here and the only reason Zadarius Smith was here and retired is because they couldn't afford Josh Sweat. Milton Williams, they couldn't afford Milton Williams because they know what's coming with Jalen Carter. Got to make difficult decisions.
No doubt. A lot of big things coming on this team, but focused on 2025 right now. The Eagles got better today and improved their chances at winning a Super Bowl this year. And after watching Week 9 in the NFL, where the Eagles were sitting on their couch, it actually looked like there was a great event in the city from that Saquon Barkley had. I don't know what the event was. I think it was maybe for his charity of some sorts, but
yeah,
that was a good event. I saw Jalen was there.
Yeah. His charity gala.
You could tell that Jalen and Saquon are buddies for sure. You could tell that those two are in lockstep.
Sense more of a, Jalen went to the Halloween party. He's getting more involved. I think he's heard some of the whispers. Got to be out there more a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's a part of it. People didn't like me. People were mad at me when I said he should have done the same with the White House, and everyone, oh God, you're making it about politics.
Well, then it's political. People lose their minds with politics. I'm not, but so that adds another layer to it. But when you're talking about the team Halloween party and people were surprised he went to that, to be honest. And Saquon's gala, it's good.
I think people are wrong about Jalen's costume. What was Jalen's goofy costume? Are you a Halloween guy, John? No, you're not, right? We talked about this on Friday.
I believe. Well, I was told it was Morgan Freeman from Bruce
Yeah,
Almighty.
that's what I thought it was. Somebody was telling me it was like that. That's what's that show that's in Philly that he likes or something? What's that dang show called? Abbott Elementary. Is that what it is? Yeah, that's what it is. Abbott
Maybe it
Elementary.
was. I don't know. Yeah, because it strikes me that's an old movie. So Abbott Elementary is on now. I know nothing about it other than it's based in Philadelphia. I've never seen the show, but
Yeah, I thought he was Morgan Freeman and Bruce Almighty, which is
a lot
funny
of
'cause he's like playing God,
but
right? That's what it's
yeah, but that's like an old reference. So that part of it didn't make sense to me. But it looked exactly like Morgan Freeman as the janitor in Bruce Almighty. It
I
looked
can't believe
exactly
Pumper
like.
hasn't shredded Hurts for playing God.
Well, I don't know if he did. Yeah, but like I don't know the Abbott Elementary side. I literally don't know. Um, but that would, in some ways, that would make more sense because that's current. Whereas Bruce Almighty, that's when did that come out? I don't know. Long time ago now.
I have no clue. I don't want to get on a tangent on that. Sean becomes a member. John, thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Hope you're doing well. I know you're at work. So Eagles traded for Jaylen Phillips this morning. If you missed it, my friend, Eagles traded a 3rd-round pick for Jaylen Phillips, and they bring him.
2003, by the way. I'm doing research. That movie came out in 2003, and Jalen Hurts would have been what, 5 years old? So, but it looks exactly like the character in the movie.
Yeah, and it didn't look like somebody put out that he was the Abbott person. And I'm like, it doesn't. The outfit didn't look like that. It looked like Bruce Almighty. That's who it looked like. He had the black hat and everything, the black shoes, the perfect color. That's what he was.
I don't know.
That's pretty funny. But
nor do
all right, Johnny Mac.
I spent too much time on it. Nor do I care.
Me too.
But
me too.
anyway.
I'm with you on that. But all right, John, how do you feel? Last question here. With all the changes now, Jaylen Phillips, I do think it shuffles the roster a little bit. It does make your defense better, obviously. But what do you think about the compensation on it? I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but now that it's kind of sad a little bit, the injury history of the player, I do think he's a good player. A 3rd-round pick, though, for him for right now, what will be a half a season. Maybe he gets a deal done. I guess the comp pick formula comes into that if you can get a comp pick back. But what do you think of the compensation that they gave up for Jaylen Phillips?
Yeah, I as I said earlier in the show, to me, there are life cycles in the NFL, and the Eagles' life cycle is up, and they're one of the best teams in football. And when you are one of the best teams in football, I have the Les Snead approach, as I said, at them picks. I do not care about potentially the 96th or 95th pick in the draft. I do not care. Now for Miami, it makes a lot of sense from their standpoint. They stink. Jaylen Phillips is going to be an unrestricted free agent. They probably aren't going to bring him back. Go get a 3rd-round pick. You get it earlier than waiting for a potential comp pick, and you don't know, then you can't sign other players if you're playing that game. So it makes sense from their perspective. They're in a different life cycle. They need picks.
Yeah, right.
They need ammunition to go get new players. For the Eagles, F them picks. Don't care.
Yeah,
Do not care.
I'm with you. I am with you. I was saying the same thing about Myles Garrett. I was ready to give the 3-1s. They're not going to do that now. That is done and dusted, everybody. I wish they would have pried him out of there, but I guess when you're Andrew Berry, you're not even going to be able to make the pick, so why trade the Hall of Fame player? But I digress. So let's see what ends up happening there. I don't think anything will happen there. Good stuff, John. Is the edge rusher room finally up to snuff, John? You've been talking about this edge rusher room, 3-4 months before the season started, my friend. Do you finally feel like, all right, now we got an edge rusher room?
Well, not quite, because I don't know where Nolan is, but on paper, if Nolan comes back healthy, then I think everything falls into place. You got Phillips as your 1, Nolan as your 2, Jelix as your 3, Josh as your 4, and then Brandon, etc. You can mix in. Then I think you're cooking with gas, and that's pretty good. I'd still, of course, you'd love to have Myles Garrett or Nick Bosa when he's healthy, or T.J. Watt, one of the big time consistent pass rushers. But for where they were, that this is a big improvement.
No doubt. Good stuff. Good stuff there. Here's Kimberly Sirico. Alexander may play better in his zone coverage. Yeah, it seems to be a lot of comments about that, John.
Yeah, he might. I mean, he might play better in man. But he's not going to have to play.
The thing about him he was a healthy scratch this year on a defense that really sucked.
Really needed corners. Really needed
needed corners. Right.
And
how is he a healthy?
And by the way, is a good organization and typically makes good decisions. Not a crappy organization. Right. So again, different scheme, different system. Yes, maybe. If I were an Eagles fan, I would still be crossing my fingers on Kaylee Ringo. I know people don't want to hear that because I've gotten a lot of hate for that, but that's what I would do if I were you. You don't have to do it. You can do whatever you want, but guys played 16 games over the past 3 seasons, played 61 snaps in Baltimore. Big name trap.
Got to give a shout out to Kimberly here, John. Thanks for the super chat, Kimberly. We appreciate you. I got an email this weekend from Kimberly. All right. She ran the New York City Marathon, John. All right, Kimberly, I won't out too much of your information, but she finished with 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 26 seconds, the New York Marathon, and qualified for the Boston Marathon.
Nice. Nice.
So, and then she threw in a classic Eagle fan fashion. She threw into the email, "There's no excuses for deconditioning of well-paid athletes. I make pocket change. Live up to your potential always," because obviously, Kimberly ran. That's a great time for somebody. That is a great time for somebody to run 3 hours, 47 minutes. So I got to give her a shout out.
Yeah, is Kimberly Kenyon by any stretch? That's a good time.
No, I don't think she is.
I'm joking. Yeah. No, well done. Ed's son ran the New York Marathon at some point, I believe. So
did he? Yeah, I'm no marathon runner.
Yeah, unbelievable to finish that. Yeah, that's tremendous conditioning. But not everybody can do that, Kimberly.
No, not everybody can. But her point was, she's working hard. So good stuff, Kimberly. Appreciate you being here, and congrats on a job well done in the New York City Marathon. Good job by you. And start getting ready for Boston, Kimberly. I don't know when that is, but that should be good as well. So good job there by Kimberly. John, a couple minutes left on the show today. We started our show a little early today because of the breaking news, which is always a little fun to do. But coming out of the bye week, John, considering everything that happened in the NFL yesterday, feels like the Washington Commanders are basically done for this season. I can't say that yet, but feels like it for sure. A lot of wins for the Eagles this weekend, John.
Yeah, man. Good weekend for the Eagles. No other way to spin it. But it's a week-to-week league, man. Don't close the door on everybody just yet. And the goal, as we said, isn't to be the best in week 9. It's to be the best, playing your best football late in the season, which you'll hear from Nick Sirianni constantly. But that window, man, I'll tell you what, it was open. It was always open, but now it looks open even more. Looks like you can slide in that window if you're really, and you could see the sense of urgency picking up for Howie, right? He sees it. There's an opportunity that he probably didn't think would be as clear cut as it is right now.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of wide open. A lot of the NFL really as a whole is wide open. Even the AFC. I mean, the Bills.
The AFC stinks.
I know, it's crazy. The rosters in the AFC are just not good. I mean, I know they had those quarterbacks, for a while, and they still have the great quarterbacks.
Well, they still have good quarterbacks.
No, I know, but it shows you though that you can't just have a good quarterback and every year that you're going to make it up.
The most disappointing game to me of all the teams was the Colts losing to the Steelers.
Yeah, that was bad.
That
was your bully Daniel Jones.
the Colts had a chance to like really seize control of that conference. And a lot of turnovers, like the old school. Now he threw it 50 times because they fell behind, which you don't want Daniel Jones doing. So anytime you throw the ball 50 times, you're going to be susceptible to turning it over. But yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh did a good job. Like there's, this league is confounding. Jonathan Taylor's was on pace to have a better season than Saquon Barkley had last year. I mean, he's playing incredible football. He was on pace for like 2,200 yards coming into that game. Pittsburgh shuts him down. Not even a good run support team. How do you figure this league? That's the one thing, watching the game with Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm like, boy, this is going to be ugly, this game. This is going to be ugly. Vikings completely shut down Jahmyr Gibbs. Who saw that coming?
Yeah, right.
Can't stop the run against some weird Kador. I can't even, I don't even know the guy's name with the Chargers. Just gashed him. And they shut down maybe the best all-around running back in football. Can't figure this league sometimes.
No doubt. Johnny Mac, what's on the schedule today for the Birds? I know they have the next Monday night game, so that does change, kind of the scheduling this week. What is the schedule?
Yeah, everything's pushed back a day. Nothing today. Tuesday is the trade deadline. We'll probably get Howie because he made a big deal. So he'll probably speak tomorrow, but that's speculation. He doesn't have to. But I think Phillips is big enough to make sure that happens.
To go up there and get his flowers.
Yeah, that's part of it. So everything pushed back a day. Wednesday becomes Thursday. Thursday becomes Friday. Friday becomes Saturday because of the Monday night game. So, yeah, not only a bye week, but you get an extra day on the bye week.
Yeah, good stuff there for the Birds. Johnny Mac, great show today, my friend. We will talk to you maybe later on. Another move lands. We will see what ends up happening, but if not, tomorrow morning on Birds 365. Well done, my friend. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you then. All right, brother?
All right, thanks all.
All right, thanks, G-Mac. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365, a breaking news edition of Birds 365. I don't think we've had that maybe ever, especially to the tune of this. You get Jaylen Phillips, which is a big move. I mean, it's a big move. It's the biggest move that they've made. It's the splashiest move they've made. I prepped for the show. I came up here this morning. I'm working. I got my coffee, 6:30, and I'm preparing, talking about the potential of Jaylen Phillips. I had Phillips on the thumbnail and everything. I'm like, all right, I'm all set to go. Boom. As soon as I, get done my prep and I was going to go jump in the shower, get ready for the show, I'm like, holy shit. They just traded for Jaylen Phillips. Boom. Jumped in, quick shower, get ready to go, baby. Get ready to go. So great stuff for the Birds, man. Picking up Jaylen Phillips today. It's not Myles Garrett, but it's a better move. It's a good move for what we have. Not better than Myles Garrett, but it's a better move for this team, obviously. You send a third-round pick, a late third-round pick. It's going to be the Eagles' main pick, not the main third-rounder, not the Jets' pick, which is obviously a more valuable pick because the Jets suck. So they send their own pick, and, I think they get better. I think you get better today on defense. All right. I think that's the number one thing. All right. That's the number one thing. You get better on defense. Tyler Kilgore, who's had a bad day in the chat. I love it. Sportscasters are all mad. I'm not mad. Why would I be mad? I'm happy about the trade. I think it's a good trade. I think it's a solid trade. I mean, look, I think you have to add in all the context of he does have two big injuries. You can't just act like that doesn't exist. That does exist. He had the two big injuries, ACL and Achilles. Those are two nasty injuries, lower body injuries. Let me look at what they were in terms of left or right. Knee to ACL tear doesn't tell me whether it's left or right. Yeah, both right knee or both right. It's right Achilles and right knee. Oof. Right Achilles and right knee. So it's that right leg. So if he's lost a step on one side or maybe some of his moves, I think I saw my boy Eagles Eric put out some stuff about that. That would make sense. I mean, you have an Achilles and an ACL in the same leg. that's bad news. But again, he's had a good year this year, good bounce back year. So I think he's still a good player, still has a lot in the tank, and only 26 years old. I think the question with him is like, how long term is this? But you got to factor in that comp pick. I'm telling you, you got to factor in that comp pick. You send a third round pick in what looks like it could be a half a year rental. But think about it. If he comes here and plays well, and then he goes to the open market and he gets a Josh Sweat size deal, $18 million, you're going to get back a fourth or a fifth or maybe even as high as a third on a comp pick. I mean, think about that. If you get back a comp pick, like you basically swapped a third this year for a fourth next year for Jaylen Phillips. That is big. That's big if you get back that comp pick if he walks. Or he plays so good and you end up paying him, and now you got a good edge rusher, So I think overall this is a good move. It's a good move. James Jones, I'm sorry to do it to you, man, but and look, I hate injuries, James. I'm not the kind of fan that would ever root for an injury, even for a divisional opponent. I do not want to see it. Believe me, I'd rather just beat you fair and square. But injuries are a big part of the NFL. And when you have a team that's the second oldest team in football, or the oldest team in football, coming into a year, you better get ready for injuries. Your team is injured all over the place. I think I just saw Lattimore. Is he now done? Let me go and look that up. Is Lattimore now done? Is that real? Is that real? Lattimore's now done? That's just brutal, man. That's just brutal. So the Commanders' injuries last night. Jaden Daniels, dislocated elbow. I think he might come back. I'm not sure. Lattimore, torn ACL. Brutal. Luke McCaffrey, broken collarbone. Their punt returner. I mean, that team is just decimated right now. That team is decimated. But I tried to tell everybody all offseason. Remember, you guys were like, Zander's a Cowboy fan now because he said the Cowboys are going to be second in the East. What Nimrod said that? Zander's now a Cowboy fan. No, how about that? How about I was right? No, it was not his throwing arm. It was not his throwing arm. So that's the good news for him. Not his throwing arm. It's his other arm. It's his left arm. So that's a lot better for him. That's a lot better for him. All right. It really does, Race. There's just injuries everywhere, dude. I mean, I know football, that's just a game of football, but holy crap, dude, it feels like there's so many injuries, man. Zeal says, Zander, you and I called the commies. Yeah, I was on it early. You too, Zeal. The war of attrition is won by the young. I mean, and Zeal, look, you can see it with the Eagles. We've had injuries, but looks like most are coming back. Most are coming back this year. We don't have many season enders. I know we have a couple, Johnny Wilson and Ben Van Sumeren, but no big players, big contributing players that are out for the year for the Eagles. That's a big thing. So, hurt season, you're right. In my opinion, you are right. All right. Now, I don't think they're going to change anything, but I think it's a fair comp by you. I do. What'd you guys make of the we didn't talk about it that much today because of obviously we were bogged down by the Jaylen Phillips injury or the Jaylen Phillips trade, but what'd you guys make of the Jair Alexander trade? I did a segment on Saturday for it. Shout out to all you guys. I got like almost 20,000 views on that segment. So, big shout out to you guys for showing up and showing out. Part of that's because Saturday evening, not many want to do a show. I was fired up to do a show. So big thanks to all you guys for checking that out and, making it pay off. We appreciate that. JD3, what's up, brother? I know JD wants to get into the Sixers. Great weekend for the Sixers. Look, I know they lost Friday. He's not a B move. That's wrong. I know they lost on Friday to the Celtics, but wasn't there a lot of optimism in that loss? I mean, you had a bunch of turnovers in that game, and the second chance points at the Celtics. It felt like every fucking possession the Celtics got an offensive board, but they fought back in that game again and had a chance to win that game. Again, I know you lose the game. You're not going to be happy with any loss, but you don't win every game in basketball. And when you have a team that fights back like that and loses the game, I think that team shows a lot of fight. And I think there's a lot of positive from that loss on Friday night. And then they obviously beat the shit out of the Nets last night. Pretty good. So Great weekend for the Sixers. They sit at 5-1. 5-1. Tyrese Maxey is a superstar. VJ Edgecombe looks like a stud. I like Adem Bona. They got some good players. Quentin Grimes is playing lights out. This is what I mean about Embiid at the top of the fucking key. We don't need a center at the top of the key to run our offense anymore. We don't have Ben Simmons. We have 2 young, fast, athletic guards that are ball dominant. I don't need Embiid sitting at the top of the key. I know that's not his game, but holy shit, maybe we got to look at, do we need Embiid then? Do we need Embiid at the top of the key? Really? You got not only 2 guards, but you got 3 young guards on the outside that are fast, that are athletic, that can shoot, that can create space, that can create off the dribble. I mean, I need a pick and roll guy who can get some boards. Embiid doesn't do that. It's tough. It's tough, but it is what it is. Here's JD3. He says, Sixers got to move off Embiid. He was a great player, but now he's slow, broken, and doesn't fit the team. Get a young big who can move and build the future. I agree with you. I'm with you, dude. You need a pick and roll. I need a pick and roll guy, all right, who can get to the rim, defend the rim, and get boards. That's what I need. Adem Bona might do all those things better than Embiid if you think about it, which is crazy to say, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you Adem Bona is as good as Joel Embiid. But, I don't know. It's a tough spot because, you got that contract. I don't think it's as easy to move off as people think. So, it is what it is. Here's Corporate B Pump. Is Jair going to be captain for the Packers game? Keely is cornerback too, and y'all mad as hell. Well, you heard John say that, Pump. You heard John say Ringo's going to be QB or CB2. Kilgore says, Xander, pick and roll is done in the NBA. Now it's pick and pop. If your center can't shoot, it's lobs and defense. Well, Kilgore, we need lobs and defense. We got enough fucking shooters, dude. I don't give a shit if pick and roll is done. Sometimes, we overthink things. And sometimes the reason that they're called fundamentals is there's a reason they're fucking fundamentals, Tyler. No matter how the game changes, they're useful. It's the game of basketball. The game of basketball is still the game of basketball. You might change. There might be more three-pointers now. You might need bigs that can shoot. The game might evolve, and it does evolve. The fundamentals are the fundamentals. I mean, you're telling me pick and roll is done. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, pick and roll is the most common successful play in basketball fucking history. Classic pick and roll. Get a big man and a fast guard who can pass the ball. Run a pick and roll. Open up the offense. Off-ball pick and roll. Same thing. I get it. I'm not saying you're wrong, though. Pick and pop has become, the thing. When you think about it, McCain's not even back yet. You got Maxey. You got Grimes. You got Edgecombe. I mean, you don't need Joel Embiid lobbing up 3-pointers 5, 6, 7 times a game. That's bad business. That's bad ball, man. That's bad ball. But good stuff. All right, good stuff. A lot of good stuff. I'm excited about the Phillips trade. All right, I'm not overly excited about it, but I am excited about it. I think it's a good trade. I think you get better at the edge. You don't solidify it to the level that a certain other player would have done. Twiz. Are you out there, Twizzler? But you do get better at the edge, and I think you correct something that was a big weakness for this team. John's been talking about the weakness of the edge, for a long time. And you get better at the edge now. So, if he can stay healthy, I think you're looking at a good situation. But Eagles in a good spot, man. Everything went right for them in the bye week. Everything. Giants lost. Commanders lost. The Lions lost. The Packers lost. The only team that didn't lose, which obviously beat up on the Commanders, was the Seahawks. Are the Seahawks sneakily one of our toughest tests this year? Toughest competitors in the NFC? JD says, do you think Phillips can be as good as Sweaty J? I think potentially. Deshae says, get out of your feelings for Garrett, Xander. Deshae, fuck off. Here's Corporate B Pump. Embiid can't do shit but shoot and set screens. MFer doesn't rebound, defend, jump, or move in general. A literal black hole in the court. Pump, I agree with you, unfortunately. I will say this, though. Sometimes I think people aren't, sometimes I think people are a little off base. Like they have a preconceived notion and then they stick to it. Embiid on the floor on Friday night when they came back in that game versus the Celtics, Embiid was on the floor for most of the comeback. He was on the floor for most of the comeback. So you can't just sit here and say it's all bad, all right? There is moments when obviously the talent of Embiid, is worth something. But I do think a lot of the turnovers that they had were forced because they were forcing the ball to Embiid. That was my issue with it. But he was still on the floor for when they came back in that basketball game. I mean, you can't just sit here and say, okay, Embiid's a pile of dog shit. Look, he doesn't fit the team as well as he once did. When you had Ben Simmons, who's a pass-dominant guard who couldn't shoot the ball, Embiid at the top of the key was perfect. It was a great setup. Now you got these young guards, man, who are ball dominant, can shoot the rock, can dribble the rock, can run. I don't know, man. Here's Michael. John, I love you tons, but Dean looks better. I'm with you. I don't even need to read the rest of your comment. All right. I'm with you. John's a little stuck on that Campbell stuff. I get it, but it is what it is. K. Smith says, Eagles fans are so fortunate to have a GM that can make a move at any time to upgrade. Yeah, well, he's willing to. He's willing to, no doubt. Curtis says, Z, the edge group is back to 24. I'm not going to go that far. But, I mean, you only lost, Sweat, so I hear you. I think Adoree will get released. I'm not sure what other roster moves will come, but it does feel like some roster moves will come. All right. Obviously, because they're going to need to make some cuts. HKP says, Howie isn't afraid to be wrong. There's a lesson in there, HKP. There's a lesson in there. How many times people come on here and, oh my God, Zander, you were wrong. Can't be afraid to be wrong. You gotta have conviction in life. And more than just being an NFL GM. And then you gotta be willing to correct. Unlike little Twiz. Twiz, I gotta take you off the chopping block. You were on my chopping block on Friday and Saturday. All right. I gotta take you off the chopping block. Although I dismantled you, Twiz, on Friday, and you know it. I dismantled you, Twiz. Yeah. Do you think Howie's done? I think he might be done. I mean, guys, if Howie makes another move, where is it? It's not going to be an edge. Maybe it would be like an offensive lineman depth piece. Maybe an O-line depth piece. I know people think corner, but they traded for Bennett. And they traded for Jair Alexander. You think they're going to keep going back down that well? All right. Twiz, I'm all right to be in the clouds. Sometimes being in the clouds means you're shooting for big. You're shooting for big results, big moves, big things. It is what it is. It depends on Nolan's health, Zay. It's a good comp, but remember, they did sign BG, Kirk Adkins says, for the last 10 years, Bulls have been irrelevant, so it's great to see fun back. Are you a Bulls fan, Kirk? What's up with the Bulls? Why do we have so many Bulls fans in here? They're 5-1 too, right? Q says, Zander, who do you think sits first at edge when Nolan comes back? Probably J-Looks. Probably have Nolan and yeah, probably J-Looks. That's what I would say. Probably have Nolan and Phillips on the field. J-Looks as a rotational piece. I was a fan of D Rose. Abe, I don't know many people who weren't a fan of D Rose, dude. D Rose was boss. 90s kids were all Bulls fans. Yeah, well, we all know why, Emrace. And I can't knock you for that. Bulls used to be NBA's America's team. I know. Believe me, A-team. Hunt is popping off right now. Yeah, well, he's getting there. Are you guys telling me you think J-Looks would play ahead of Nolan? I don't know if I see that. Twiz says a lot of T-shirt fans, 4 for 4 for the win. There you go, Twiz. You're entitled to root for whoever the fuck you want to root for. I've always thought that. Twiz, do you think you're better because you root for all 4 Philly fans or all 4 Philly teams? Do you think you're a superior fan, Twiz, because you root for the shitty Flyers? Get a fucking goalie. All right. Jay looks his best when he's a rotate. I agree with you. HKP, I just think it's early yet, dude. Remember, he was a developmental player in the 3rd round. He was not supposed to get this much. He was not supposed to get this much, playing time this quick. I don't even think it's a knock on him to say that. He just needs more time. He's showing flashes, though, for sure. All right. He's showing flashes for sure. Bulls are 5-1. They're playing real good. They're playing real good. Not a huge fan of everyone on their roster, but that Giddey kid's pretty good. Trey Jones is a solid player. They got Vucevic in there at center. They got some players. But I like that Kobe White. How's he playing this year? How's Kobe White playing this year? I think he got injured, right? Oh, I like Kobe White. I don't believe in Josh Giddey. Why? Because he's a diddler? He's a diddler, right? Didn't something come out with him being a diddler? Kobe White's hurt. What happened to him? There you go. Vitality right on cue. Giddey is a diddler. Is he a diddler? Is that confirmed? What happened with that guy? I wasn't too into the league when that happened. Giddey's a diddler? The Giddler. Romulus calls him the Giddler. That's pretty funny. Yes, 4 for 4 superior. Giddey got tricked. I don't know what that means. Kobe isn't playing. He got injured. Okay, so he's not playing yet. Calf in July. I do like Kobe White. I don't know when he'll come back, but I do like him. Gregorio says, cheer for your hometown team. I do for the most part. I cheer for the Eagles. I cheer for the Sixers. I cheer for the Phillies a lot, too. Obviously, I want the Phillies to win. And, I'll say this about the Flyers. I grew up hating them because I was a goalie, Gregorio, and they never got a goaltender, and it always drove me crazy. And I used to watch Henrik Lundqvist in New York and Martin Brodeur with the Devils, and there was great goaltenders all around us, and the Flyers never got a goalie. And as a goalie myself, it pissed me off when I was a kid. So I went on a tirade. I loved Martin Brodeur. I had the Brodeur mask and everything when I was a kid. So I never was a Flyers fan. But I will say this about the Flyers. I'm not a fan, and I'm not going to profess myself to be a fan of the Flyers. But because I'm Philadelphia born and raised, and I'll always probably live in this area, I don't envision myself ever living more than, 45 minutes away from the city. I don't envision that. Probably will always live in the tri-state area, always will be close to home, always in the Philadelphia region. I want the Flyers to win. Like, I want them to win, I don't want them to not win. I'm not a fan of them, but I want to see Philadelphia win. That's what I want to see. So I guess in a way, I'm a Yankees fan because of my dad, but I'm also not really anymore. Like, I grew up as a big I'm a Yankees fan because my dad was a Yankees fan, and you grow up. Sometimes you watch what your dad wants to watch when you're a kid. And my dad put on every Yankees game. My dad loves baseball, but they've always been the AL and the NL to me. By the way, that World Series game. Who watched the World Series game? Please, who watched that World Series game? That was as good as it get. Yeah, Flexer, that was a major mistake by that team. Major mistake. Flexen, you want to hear a funny story about me? My NHL team, so Roll Philly, when I was growing up, it was the Devils because I was the Brodeur guy. When Brodeur retired, though, I wasn't really loyal to the Devils. I got to be honest. I loved Brodeur, but once he left and they lost Zach Parise and, Patrick Eliash and all those guys that I loved when I was a kid, I didn't really care for him. So my brother recruited me to be a Rangers fan. My brother recruited me to be a Rangers fan, but I still root for the Flyers to win. And I'm just not a fan of them. I never liked the orange. I don't like how they handle goaltenders. Just not a Flyers guy. So I've been a Rangers fan. Rangers. My dad was a New York fan because he grew up in the projects in the middle of PA, and he had a little radio. And I tell you guys this all the time. He got the New York teams. That was all he got on the little dial-up radio. And as a sports fan, as a kid, he didn't have TV or any of those things. He dialed up the radio to listen to the Yankees, the Rangers, and that's how we did it. So when I grew up, that's what he liked. But Flex, interesting story about the 2009 World Series. I was at the game in New York. It was the inaugural season at Yankee Stadium for the Yankees, the 2009 World Series. I went to game 2. I still have the ticket on my mantle. I still have the ticket. That's back when tickets were cool, when they gave like actual hard copies of tickets. And I was wearing a Yankees hat at the damn World Series versus the Phillies, which is funny. So people will use that against me. The Phillies, I got you, brother. Relax. I'll get to it. Philly says, hey, Zander, what's up with the Flyers losing to Canada this weekend? But you're the best. Just don't tell Big Sills the Packers are frauds. Not worried at all. I'm with you, Phillies. I'm with you, brother. I didn't see the Flyers game. I didn't watch it this weekend. I had a busy weekend with family, man. I didn't even watch that much football yesterday as much as I would have liked, or Saturday. Bama was off. Eagles were off. So I was kind of just had a bunch of shit to get to knock off the honey-do list. Who'd they lose to? Canadians? Let me look it up. Oh, they lost to Calgary and the Maple Leafs. Now they got the Canadiens tomorrow. Maple Leafs and the Flames. Yeah, they lost to both. Yeah, I don't know. The Flyers, dude. Get used to losing. It's part of being a Flyers fan. You just lose a lot. Flyers, you lose a lot. Angelo, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. But that was the fucking 70s, my guy. I was born in 98. They barely even have highlight tape of that team, dude. They barely even got highlight tape of that team. You know, at least I can watch some of the early Eagle teams before I was born. Gangrene and shit. But Two Focuses Zanners, it's safe to say this offseason we go in a different direction than AJ. I wouldn't say that. It's not guaranteed yet. If they win a Super Bowl this year, you think they're trading AJ? I don't know if I think that. I don't think I'd do that. I still haven't recovered. Yeah, you probably never will, Twiz, because the Flyers refuse to get a goaltender. It's like the weird. That's like saying, think about that. That's like saying in football, your quarterback doesn't matter that much. In baseball, your pitcher doesn't matter that much. Like that's fucking ridiculous. That's half the game. That's half the hockey game. You got to score goals and you got to stop goals. Now, I know it's not the only thing that goes into it, but as a former goalie myself, maybe I'm biased because I was a goalie, but like that to me is the most important part of your team. That's the most important contract you sign is get a goaltender. Get a goaltender. I never understood that, but you missed the Legion of Doom. Yeah, I did. Flexen, I heard you say, I know you. Flexen, are you a hockey fan at all? Like, do you have a team? I know you like the Yankees and stuff. Flex, if you ever get a chance to go to a Rangers game at Madison Square Garden, there's no hockey game like the Garden, dude. It is such a good spot to watch hockey. The Madison Square Garden is electric, dude. It is such an electric hockey game. I'm telling you right now, Flex, if you ever get a chance to go to New York and go to the Garden for a Rangers game, it is worth your time and your money. It is so freaking awesome. The Madison Square Garden is such an awesome place to go. It really is. But Phillies Ace, appreciate you. All right, guys, great show today, man, on Bird 365. We had obviously the big trade news today. I'm probably gonna have some extra content today. But I got to get some post up because of obviously the big trade news. I'm going to have shorts coming up and everything like that. So I got to kind of manage the back end. But we had a big show today, man. A lot of viewership. I hope we got a lot of likes. How many likes are we up to? How many likes are we up to today? Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if he was the answer though. Carter Hurt. I don't know if he was the answer. Reyes says cave drawings of Flyers highlights. I know, Reyes. I know you're not a Flyers fan, Reyes, because you're you're an out-of-towner. I don't even know how you became an Eagles fan. In fact, M. Reyes, I'd like to put that under the microscope. How did M. Reyes become an Eagles fan? Is he the true epitome of a bandwagon Eagles fan that has joined on board in the golden era? That might be what Reyes is. That might be what Reyes is. Is Kraft out for the year? Oof. Is that confirmed now? Kraft, are you out for the year? I don't see anything yet on that. Reyes is now done. He's gone. Roll Philly's the same way. He's a Texas guy, I think. All right. Another shout out to Kimberly, by the way. How about Kimberly, man? Kimberly with a freaking 3-hour, 47-minute marathon in New York. Kimberly, that right there is a job well done. That is a job well freaking done, man. 26.2 miles. I cannot fucking run anywhere in the ballpark. Shit, I'd be wheezing at a 5K, man. I'd be wheezing at 3.1 in a 5K. Yeah, Lindbergh, that's true, Angela. That was a bad story, man. And then Bobrovsky, they traded. Just ridiculous. Zander loses credibility for being a Devils fan. The greatest goaltender of all time was a New Jersey Devil. And I had the mask and everything to Phillies. I'd love to find a picture of me as a kid being a goalie wearing my Brodeur mask. My Brodeur mask was badass. My Brodeur mask was badass, dude. I do not have a picture of me as a kid. I do have that in my office at home, though. Nah, it's fucking stupid green screen. I'm out of my studio right now. I got a great picture of Brodeur, signed photo of Brodeur in my studio. Love Brodeur, man. Love Brodeur. Yeah, Kelly Lindbergh, I know. He died in the car accident. It was obviously a very sad story. A-Team says, how about Crosby, Letang, and Malkin and the Penguins teammates for 20 years? Pretty crazy. I remember when they first started. Yeah, and how about when they had Marc-Andre Fleury? Marc-Andre Fleury, man. All right. How about that? Abe says, I've been cooking in fantasy. Abe, I think I lost this week. Here's Jason. How about – oh, yeah, I got that. Jason, thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Hasek. I'm a Dominic Hasek guy. I think Brodeur is better than both, but I'm a Dominic Hasek guy. I didn't know religious people could be fans of the New Jersey Devils. It's not a no to that. Haven't you ever heard of the Jersey Devil, Ryan? Or no, you're a Florida guy. You've never been to the fucking Northeast either. And you don't even know a lick about this area. The Jersey Devil, it's an old fairy tale, basically. Come on, man. You never had. See, when I was a kid, my uncle, and I was like 5, 6 years old, and we would walk on the promenade in Cape May. My uncle would always say to me, be careful, the Jersey Devil is going to come out of the dunes. The Jersey Devil, they seen him around Cape May. The Jersey Devil. My uncles used to use that. All right. My uncles used to use that against me. The Pine Barrens. The Jersey Devil is a disgruntled Giants fan. That's pretty funny. It's real, Xander. I've seen it. You and me both, Waddington. Brodeur is the goalie goat. A-Team, thank you for being smart. All right. Thank you for being smart. Both Commanders, isn't that? Dude, this is tragic. The amount of injuries right now in the NFL is insane. It's insane, dude. All right. Nah, I didn't. I didn't root for the Blue Jays. I don't like Canada, bro. I'm not a Canada guy. I unfortunately was fine with the Dodgers winning the World Series. That was dude. I just enjoyed that baseball. How about that? Are you good with that answer? I just fucking enjoyed that baseball. By the way, I got one of the dumbest comments I've ever seen on JAKIB in the history of JAKIB over the weekend. I would love to find it and read it to you verbatim. Literally, I answered him and said, this could be the worst, dumbest comment I've ever seen. That's almost impressive. Almost impressive. Let me see if I can find it. When was that comment? Yep, here it is. I responded, quite possibly the stupidest comment in JAKIB history. Well done. He says, anybody who watches the World Series without the Phillies in it is a complete traitor. You are not a real Philadelphia fan if you do not boycott. What? I answered back, quite possibly the stupidest comment in JAKIB history. Imagine not watching that World Series because you have to ban it or whatever the fuck he said. Boycott it. Dumbest comment I've ever heard. Fucking great baseball game. Great series. I will always watch the World Series. Doug Boyker 2546 is the name who commented that. He commented it on the John McMullen reacts to the Eagles Jair Alexander trade over the weekend. All right. Yeah, Kirk, I can understand that. The Dodgers beat the Yanks last year. I get it. Yeah, stupid take. I agree. Two Focus says, one thing we learned from these trades is relationship matters, Xander. Joe drafted Carter, Christian Parker, Coach Jair, and Vic Phillips. That's an interesting point. Interesting point. I don't know how much, Christian Parker meant to Jair Alexander. He was like the best corner in football back then, or one of. Christian Parker was a quality control guy. So I don't know how much he was there, or how much he helped with them, but Martin Brodeur was him, no doubt, Denny. All right, guys, I got to run. I got some posting to make. Appreciate you guys being here. Might be some more content today. Stay tuned because I am wondering, is Howie done? Real quick, before I go, do we think Howie's done? What do we think? Is Howie done, or will Howie make another move? Over, under half a move. Over, under 0.5 trades for the rest of the time, from here until the deadline. Will Howie make another move? Maybe is not an answer, Abe. Doubt it, Z. So you're going under. Crowley says probably. I'll take that as an over. No, I'll take that as the under. Zeal says, I think he's done. I'm with you. Luis says he's done. I'm with you. Let Howie rest. I'm with you, Reyes. I think he's done. Tony says maybe one more trade to help with depth. I'll take that as the over. Ryan says under. Drew says done. Howie done. Under. Wild Bear says going over. All right, so you're taking the over. Eagle fan, thanks for becoming a member on both. I appreciate that. I don't think. All right. So you got no. Over by 2. All right, that's big. Give me 10-1. All right, so Flamek thinks we're getting multiple trades. Over. Flagels fan, over. Flagels Fly, I sent your shirt last week before I left the studio, so you should be getting that maybe today or tomorrow. Actually, let me double check on that thing. I'm working on the jerseys. I owe a couple people some jerseys right now. Not, by the way, they're all because people were requesting different jerseys, not because I didn't send them. Everybody wants a different jersey. That's all right, but sometimes that takes a little bit more time. All right. Fly, Eagles, fly. It says your shirt is out for delivery today. I'm looking at the postal thing today. It says between 12:30 and 2:30, your shirt will deliver. All right. I did attach a little Zander note in there as well. All right. So you got a Z note in there. So that should deliver today. All right. Love all you guys. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, man. We have low like numbers for how many people watch the show today. We have a freaking ton of people watching the show today. Ton of people watching the show today. 345 likes is a travesty. That should be like 450. So smash that like button. Love all you guys, man. See you next time on Birds 365.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.